of the 12.
How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, of him that preacheth salvation, that saith to Zion, Thy God shall reign. The Lord hath prepared his holy arm in the sight of all the Gentiles, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God.
Jesus, at the pleading of the people, left the valley of Gerasa and returned to Capharnaum. There the crowd, sighting his boat from afar, thronged to the shore to welcome him. One man in particular, Jairus, a leader of the synagogue, had waited for Jesus, and is now hurrying to the shore, but his mind is in turmoil, and he's thinking,
Will I be rebuked for this by the Pharisees from Jerusalem? Will Jesus refuse my request? These scribes, they say he cures in the name of Beelzebub, that he cures on the Sabbath. Oh, but he does cure even the sick of the Gentiles. Then he will not deny one of his own. Oh, what am I to do? Let my child die because of their charge of Beelzebub? I heard Jesus answer them, and well he spoke. How can a man help the afflicted and be possessed of the devil? It would be more like the devil to let them suffer with the diseases he afflicted upon them in the first place. No, say what they will, let them do with me as they will. I am going to ask Jesus to cure my child. If he refuses, I can do no more.
Make way, please, make way. I must speak to Jesus.
Here comes Jairus, Master. He seems to be seeking you.
Jesus of Nazareth.
Why do you fall before me, Jairus?
My daughter is at the point of death. Come, lay thy hands upon her that she may be saved and live.
Arise, Jairus. Take me to her.
Follow me.
Please, please stand aside. Let us through. There is but little time.
He'll come by here. I'll watch my chance. If I touch but his cloak, I shall be saved. That's all that's needed.
Come, not this house. Further on. Please hurry.
What is it, Master?
Who touched me?
Master, the crowds throng and press upon thee, and dost thou say, Who touched me?
Someone touched me.
In this crowd, many touch you, Master.
Someone touched me. For I perceived that power had gone forth from me.
Please, we must not delay.
Who touched the Master?
Whoever it was, I beg you to answer. My child is dying. We must get to her at once.
Please. Don't be afraid.
This woman here, was it you?
Rabbi, please, I meant no harm.
Come here.
You are the one?
Yes.
What was your motive?
Forgive me. For 12 years I have had an issue of blood. I have spent all my money on doctors, and none has cured me. I thought perhaps if I could but touch the Master, I would be healed. I reached out my hand as he passed by.
Would you have spoken up at once and not delayed us?
Could I have but a moment to speak my eternal gratitude to Jesus? The instant I touched his garment, I felt the strength surge through my body. I no longer bleed.
Daughter, thy faith has saved thee. Go in peace.
Jairus.
Yes, here, what is it?
I come from your house.
Speak out, my daughter, is she?
Thy daughter is dead, Jairus. Why dost thou trouble the Master further?
Oh, dead. My child died as we talked to that woman.
Do not be afraid.
It's too late for fear or anything.
Only have faith, and she shall be saved.
Come, let us go.
Faith. How can you not have faith, Jairus?
Simon, James, John, come with me. The others will remain here.
Rachel, Jesus has come.
Why do you make this great sin and weep?
Would a mother not mourn for her child?
The girl is asleep, not dead. Begone, mourners, all but the parents.
Please go. The master requests it.
Yes, do as he says, please. Do not be afraid. Only have faith, Rachel.
Girl, I say to thee, arise.
Rachel. Child, you live. Little one, Rachel, on your knees to Jesus, who's answered our prayers. He's brought God's mercy to our house. He's banished sorrow from our threshold.
The child is hungry. Give her something to eat.
Yes, at once, Rachel, run. Call the nurse. Tell all the people our child is well.
Jairus, I charge you strictly. Say nothing of what has taken place here.
It shall be as you wish, master. But people will know when they see my child at play. They will talk about it in the streets. They'll whisper in the synagogue. They will ask questions. Questions, master, that I, their leader, cannot answer.
Come, Simon. Let us depart from Capharnaum.
Where do we follow you?
To Nazareth.
But, master, how will they receive you? Did they not try to destroy you the last time you were there?
And Jesus went with his disciples to Nazareth, the town where he was reared and where lived his mother and his relatives. He rested among them, and on the Sabbath, as was his custom, he entered the synagogue to teach.
Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for justice, for they shall be satisfied. Do not think that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I have not come to destroy, but to fulfill. You have heard it said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. If you love those who love you, what reward shall you have? Do not even the publicans do that? And if you salute your brethren only, what are you doing more than the others? Do not even the Gentiles do that?
Where did he get all this? What is this wisdom that is given to him?
Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary?
Yes.
Silence! Silence! What are these doctrines you preach, Jesus? What schools have you attended? You have lived in Nazareth all your life. We don't know you as a student at the scribe school or the rabbinical school. True, you have some knowledge of the scriptures, but you give your own interpretation to the law. A strange interpretation, I might say. Most unorthodox, for which there's no authority that I've been able to find. As for these miracles...
Miracles, aye, for others, but not for his own people.
Last time we requested a sign. He said they were for the Gentiles.
Aye.
A prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, and among his own kindred, and in his own house.
You offend us, Jesus, with your preaching.
Leave our synagogue! And Jesus left the synagogue, wondering at their unbelief. And beyond curing a few people who were sick, he could work no miracle in Nazareth, but made a circuit of the villages, teaching the kingdom of God, and curing every kind of disease and infirmity. But seeing the crowds, he was moved with compassion for them, and he summoned his disciples and spoke to them.
The people are bewildered and dejected, like sheep without a shepherd. The harvest indeed is abundant, but the laborers are few. Pray therefore the Lord of the harvest to send forth laborers into the harvest. 2 by 2 I shall send you out, and you shall have power over unclean spirits to cast them out, and to cure every kind of disease and infirmity. Do not go in the direction of the Gentiles, nor enter the towns of Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. And as you go, preach the message. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. Do not keep gold or silver or money in your belts. No wallet for your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staff. For the laborer deserves his living.
And the 12 listened intently to every word Jesus gave them. And going forth 2 by 2, they remembered all that he had said. And as they approached the first town, his words came back to their memory.
And whatever town or village you enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter the house, salute it. If then the house be worthy, your peace will come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever does not receive you or listen to your words, go forth outside that house or town and shake off the dust from your feet. Amen, I say to you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that town. Behold, I am sending you forth like sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as serpents and guileless as doves, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils and scourge you in their synagogues, and you will be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a witness to them and to the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, do not be anxious how or what you are to speak, for what you are to speak will be given you in that hour. For it is not you who are speaking, but the Spirit of your Father who speaks through you. Therefore do not be afraid of them. For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, and nothing hidden which will not be made known. What I tell you in darkness, speak it in the light. What you hear whispered, preach it on the housetops, and do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. But rather be afraid of him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing? And yet not one of them will fall to the ground without your Father's leave. But as for you, the very hairs of your head are numbered. Therefore do not be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows. When they persecute you in one town, flee to another. Amen, I say to you, you will not have gone through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes.
remember the things he said to us that day when he sent us out to preach. No disciple is above his teacher, nor is the servant above his master. It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher, and for the servant to be like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? And look how they have driven him about, from Jerusalem and Judea, from Gerasa, from Nazareth. But ever he repeats, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid.
And the 12 went in all directions among the lost sheep of Israel. Into Ashkelon and Arimathea and Azotus they went, and unto Bethany and Bersabee and Jericho and Hebron and Mesida, and into the villages, even the smallest. And they were not afraid, for in their hearts they carried the word of the Lord.
Therefore, everyone who acknowledges me before men, I also will acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before men, I in turn will disown him before my Father in heaven. Do not think I have come to send peace upon the earth. I have come to bring a sword, not peace. For I have come to set a man at variance with his father, and a daughter with her mother, and a daughter-in-law with her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it.
But Andrew, did he not conclude his instructions with these words? He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet because he is a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he who receives a just man because he is a just man shall receive a just man's reward. And whoever gives to one of these little ones but a cup of cold water to drink because he is a disciple, amen, I say to you, he shall not lose his reward.
And Jesus sent them 2 by 2 in various directions into the towns and villages of Israel, and not unto the land of the Gentiles or the Samaritans. For by the prophets it had been promised that unto the people of Israel would first come the good tidings of salvation. Now these are the names of the 12 apostles. First Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James the son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Cananean, and Judas Iscariot, he who betrayed him. And going into the towns and villages, they knocked at many doors.
I am Peter. This is my brother Andrew. We have been sent to bring you the word from Jesus. We are tired and thirsty. May we have a cup of water and stay with you for a time? Come, Andrew. Let us shake off the dust of our feet from this place. I am Peter. This is my brother Andrew. We have been sent by Jesus of Nazareth to preach in your city. May we dwell with you for a few days.
Enter.
Peace to this house. Let us have a cup of water and a bite to eat. Then we will go to the marketplace and deliver our message to the people. Hark ye to the words of Jesus sent to you through us. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. He who receives us receives Jesus, and he who receives Jesus receives him who sent Jesus. And that which ye do to those who speak in his name, even so it is done unto him. Therefore everyone who acknowledges Jesus before men, he also will acknowledge him before his Father in heaven. But whoever disowns him before men, he in turn will disown him before his Father in heaven. Repent. Be baptized, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
And thus they went from town to town, preaching the gospel, and driving out unclean spirits, and curing all manner of illness. And many received them, and many denied them. For it was written that he came among his own, and his own received him not. And these things came to the ear of Antipas, who was holding John the Baptist in prison because of his wife Herodias, who had sworn she would put John to death.
How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, of him that preacheth salvation, that saith to Zion, Thy God shall reign. The Lord hath prepared his holy arm in the sight of the Gentiles, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God.
Porterhouse in Chicago's famous Hotel Sherman, we invite your family to join the millions of families from coast to coast and listen to America's favorite, Don McNeill and his Breakfast Club. And here is your Toastmaster, Don McNeill.
Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers. Morning to ya. Woke up bright and early, just a howdy do ya. It's first call to breakfast for all of you out there.
America, wake the breakfast club is on the air.
Well, welcome to the Breakfast Club on this Wednesday. right, well, we have on our platform this morning Laurie Parker, youngest candidate I know of. Little gal 16 going on 17. Sings real fine. Listen to her sing, I'm Gonna Live Till I Die.
I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna laugh instead of cry. I'm gonna take this town and turn it upside down. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die. They're gonna say, my oh my, I'm gonna play for the sky. Ain't gonna miss a thing, I'm gonna have my fling. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die. The blues I'll lay low, I'll make them stay low. They'll never trail over my head. I'll be a devil till I'm an angel, but until then, hallelujah, gonna dance, gonna fly. I'll take a chance riding high. Before my number's up, I'm gonna fill my cup. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die. The blues I'll lay low, I'll make them stay low. They'll never trail over my head. I'll be a devil till I'm an angel, but until then, hallelujah, gonna dance and gonna fly. I'll take a chance up there riding high. Before my number's up, I'm gonna fill my cup. I'm gonna live, 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 live until I die.
I think that's a real good idea for everybody to live till you die. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think
You almost have to.
Yeah, you don't give any arguments on that, do you, Laurie? Laurie, what is your prime interest in school?
Well,
Boys?
no, not really.
No?
Getting out?
Yeah, that's about it. When 3 o'clock comes around, I'm just completely happy with school. Because I don't have to go back until the next day.
You're, what, a junior?
No, I'll be going into my senior year.
You're going to senior
Come
year?
September,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, good for you. Scooch Harper of Boise, Idaho, and Mrs. Martin Piper. She's from River Forest, Illinois. Scooch? Scooch? I thought Scooch was a girl. Boy. Which?
No.
Are you Scooch?
Yes,
Oh, hello, Scooch. How are you?
pretty good.
You're a student where?
At Boise High.
I see. Are you going to be a senior too next year?
No, I'll be a sophomore.
Say, tell me, Scooch, have you ever had desire to do particular things and things you knew you shouldn't do, but like
Yes.
like a sign wet paint, you know, you just wanted to put your hand there to see what it really was?
Yes.
Tell them about one thing you did.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Well, I was in the elevator yesterday, and the emergency stop button was there, so I pushed it.
You've always wanted to see what would happen when you pushed the emergency stop button. Well, what happened?
Well, it stopped, and all the bells started to ring, and I didn't quite know what to do, and then the elevator wouldn't start.
So there you were, stuck there. Well, you found out, did they rescue you?
Well, there was a phone in the elevator, so I called the manager of the hotel, and he told me what to do.
I would have told you what to do, too, if I were the manager. Not only what to do, but where to go in the elevator, you know. You're Mrs. Martin Piper, huh?
That's right.
Well, speaking of doing peculiar things, why did you set that tear gas bomb off in your office?
Well, I was trying to clean the desk for the boss. He was away, and I thought, well, before he comes back, I would get everything cleaned up nicely, and this little tear bomb switch was hidden behind the desk, so, which I didn't know.
Oh,
So,
this was for in case of burglars?
Yes.
Oh.
So
you pushed it?
I picked it up, and I thought, well, this is a peculiar switch, and I just pressed it, because both ends had to go together, you know, and set it off,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I heard a shot.
Oh, boy.
And I thought, I was in the back office, and the shot went off in the front. So I ran to the front, and here was a lot of smoke coming. And then I decided, well, that was the tear bomb, which we had wondered whether it was going to go off, because it had been in there for 10 years.
And it worked.
It worked.
And then all the customers would come in the office, and what would they do?
Well, they came in there, and they'd start talking, and then pretty soon they'd start wiping their eyes, and they didn't know what had happened because we told no one. And finally, the fellow said, I don't know what's the matter. I'm crying. It just seems my eyes must be weak or something. And so we had to tell them that they did.
What kind of a place is this? What do you sell there?
Well, at that time, this was a coal office.
Oh, cola.
Yeah.
Give me 2 tons of gold.
Oh, that was a bit old. You know, it gives me an idea, though. For a program like this, we could have tear gas bombs, and we could have laughing gas, see? And when we want a joke to go over, press the button of the laughing gas, see? Or when something is real sad, the tear bomb, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, think you've given me a wonderful idea there. Thank you very much indeed, Miss Piper. I'm looking at the world through cracked glasses.
I've said goodbye to Mr. Sorrow. How do you do, Mr. Joy? There's no need to worry about tomorrow. Look at me, and you'll see a soul as happy as can be. Because I'm looking at that world through rose-colored glasses. Everything is rosy now. I'm looking at the world, and everything that passes seems of rosy hue somehow. Why do I feel so spry? Don't wink your eye. Needn't guess, I'll confess. Certain someone just said yes. In a bungalow all covered with roses, I will settle down, I vow. That's why I'm looking at that world through rose-colored glasses, and everything is rosy. Everything is rosy now.
Thank you, Dick. No, if I were elected, I think I'd promise that every 16-year-old girl should look like Laurie Parker.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad,
I'd
huh?
vote for that, too.
Laurie, since you are of this tender age, I was wondering about your singing favorites of the male persuasion. Who are they, like Elvis Presley and...
Oh, no.
Oh, who?
I like Frank Sinatra.
He's the older type, though.
That's fine. I like him, though.
You do?
This
girl's going far with us.
Yeah. And, of course, Dick Noel.
Of course. I mean, that's the favorite, you know.
Yeah.
And I like Nat King Cole, too.
Yeah, well, I do, too. Well, you've got fine taste. I thought probably the young hep cats would.
Oh, they're awful.
They
really are.
don't send you at all.
No. I don't like any of them, really.
That's Miss Robert Henricks of Blue Island, Illinois, to come up here if she would. Now, I was talking to a fellow one time. We were discussing the qualities of women, since I see so many of them here and have for so many years. And I said, now, which do you think has the better disposition, a redhead or a blonde or a brunette? And he said, it doesn't make any difference. He said, my wife's been all three and she's miserable every time. Now, in your case, Miss Hendricks, you wrote that your husband says he's the only man whose wife has been a natural redhead and a natural blonde in the 19 years of your married bliss.
Right.
Well, you're certainly a blonde now.
I know. Well, as the years went along, I became a blonde instead of a golden redhead.
Oh, you mean the years took care of it just naturally?
Just naturally.
Well, your husband had both a redhead and a blonde.
Yes, he did.
Well, isn't he lucky, though? Well, speaking of things coming in doubles, if you were elected, what would you promise?
2 Sundays a week.
One isn't enough?
No, it'd be nice to have two.
Oh, I see. So you could have even more leisure time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One for blondes and one for redheads.
Right.
Yes. Do you have a family?
Yes, I do. I have two daughters.
Well, naturally, to be two. Yes. Thank you very much, Miss Hendricks. Two of everything, huh? That brings us to our hymn time with Dick Noel.
I was weak and weary, I had gone astray. Walking in the darkness, I couldn't find my way. Then a light came shining to lead me from despair. All my sins forgiven, and I was free from care. I found the answer, I learned to pray. With faith to guide me, I found the way. The sun is shining for me each day. I found the answer, I learned to
So each in his own words, each in his own way, for a world united in peace, let us bow our heads and pray. Amen. Memory time this morning, I'm continuing reading to you bits of philosophy from various great religions, edited by Leo Costin, that appeared in the June issue of McCall's. This is from the Moslem, called The Slave and the Philosopher. A pasha was crossing the sea in a fine ship when a terrible storm arose. One of the Persian slaves, who'd never been off land before, began to weep and moan and cried out in such terror that no one could reassure him. And at last the pasha called out angrily, "Is there no one aboard who can quiet this coward?" And a philosopher who happened to be on the vessel said, "With your permission, sir, I think I can quiet this man." "Proceed," said the pasha. The philosopher observed the chattering slave and summoned several sailors and said, "Throw him in the water." So they threw the slave in the water, and he began to drown, thrashing about wildly, and his screams were terrible to hear. "Now pull him back aboard," said the philosopher. Sailors hauled the slave back onto the ship, and he clung to the deck, panting and frightened, but silent. The pasha, impressed but mystified, asked the philosopher, "How do you explain this?" And the wise man replied, "Before he had a taste of drowning, he could not appreciate the blessed safety of a ship. To the angels in paradise, purgatory is hell. To the doomed in hell, purgatory is paradise." Interesting bit of philosophy, huh? I'd like to talk to Thomas Blackburn of Fort Harrison, Indiana, please. Mr. Harrison, sir, you have an idea of a promise you would make if you were elected president? What would you promise, sir?
I'd promise a raise to the members of the armed forces.
A raise to the members of the armed forces?
Sir.
And what do you do, sir?
I'm in the Army.
That figured, didn't it? Yeah. Yes, sir. Everybody's kind of interested in his own welfare these days, I guess. All right, let's have a song here. Carolina in the Morning. That ought to do it.
Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. No one could be sweeter than my sweetie when I meet her in the morning. Where the morning glories flying around the door, whispering pretty stories I long to hear once more. Strolling with my girlie where the dew is pearly early in the morning. Butterflies will flutter up and kiss each little buttercup at dawning. day. I'd make a wish, and here's what I'd say. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. Carolina.
There's a young lady here who came from a lot farther than that. New Zealand. Miss New Zealand in the recent Miss Universe contest, Miss Lorraine Jones. I'd like to speak to her. She's very pretty, very cute, comes from Wellington, which is the largest city in New Zealand, and your first visit here, Miss Jones.
That's right.
Mighty nice to have you here.
Well, it's very nice to be here.
We don't know too much about New Zealand. How large is it?
Well, it's about 1,000 miles in length, and it's about 103,000 square miles in area.
How many people there?
Approximately 2.5 million.
This is about, what, 1,000 miles from Australia or so?
It's 1,200 miles.
Say, isn't it winter time down there?
Yes, it is. In some parts it's even snowing.
Is that so? How cold does it get in your winter time?
Oh, it all depends what part of the country you're in, but some parts it snows and some parts will be quite warm.
A recent Life magazine article showed the amazing scenery there. It's very mountainous. What part of our country does it remind you of?
Well, it reminds me a little bit of San Francisco. I think the climate, the heat here really kills me.
You don't like the heat?
Oh, no, I think it's terrible.
Well, it's only been 86, 90, 95.
Oh, it never gets that hot where I come from.
Doesn't it get that hot?
No.
Well, when we have a pretty girl like that, we like to make it hot for you.
Well, I'm certainly having a lovely time here.
Are you?
Yes.
Say, you don't have much nightlife out in your New Zealand, do you?
No, we certainly don't. Our entertainment's more in our homes because our hotels close at 6 o'clock.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
And have you noticed any American men since you've been here?
Oh, I certainly have.
Do you like them at all?
Oh, very much, very much.
Have you got anybody waiting for you in New Zealand?
Oh, no, not really.
Is that so?
No.
So you're still looking, huh?
I'm still looking.
Yeah. Miss Jones, if you have a moment, I'd like you to sit up here with me, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about your customs down there. Would you mind?
That'd be very nice.
All right, sit up here then. Miss Jones, do our customs puzzle you at all? I don't suppose you have commercials in New Zealand. Here we are giving you stuff.
No, we don't really. Our radio stations are government-owned.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Well, Miss Jones, are any of our customs here at all very puzzling to you?
Oh, yes. I think this tea drinking, that's what worries me most.
The what?
Tea drinking. In New Zealand, we're great tea drinkers, and we haven't had a proper cup of tea since we've been here. Because we have those tea bags.
You don't like those tea bags?
No, we make it in a pot.
Oh, is that so? Well, we have both bags here, and then we have Sam, too. You're interested in the pots. I understand what you mean, though. Any other customs that annoy you?
Oh, yes, it's the tipping.
The tipping?
Yes, the tipping.
Nobody tips anybody in New Zealand?
Oh, very rarely. Only if you go to a place for dinner that somebody's giving you very good service, you might leave them something in appreciation, but certainly not to the extent you have it in America.
I see. You just don't tip everybody every 5 minutes like you do here.
No.
Uh-huh. Anything else?
Oh, the tax on you go to buy something and you get out your money and then they said it's something else because of the tax. We have our tax already added on in New Zealand.
Oh, they're kind of sly there, aren't they? They put it on first, huh? Well, that's right. We have tax on just about everything here. Anything else?
Oh, well, I went out with a chap in New York and I said to him, well, what'll I wear, slacks or a frock? And he said, oh, we didn't know what to say. And he told me afterwards he didn't know what this frock was. He said, and you call it a dress here. We call it a frock.
That's right, we do. Well, whatever it is you're wearing, I like it.
Well, it's a frock.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, Miss Jones, you're a very charming representative of your country, of New Zealand, and cheerio to you.
Thank you
Thank you very much. Nice of you to visit us. Bye. All right. Sergeant Michael O'Brien, please. May I have the pleasure of talking to you? He's with a group of Army sergeant, master sergeants, sergeant majors, the top Army recruiters from 13 states here on Army business, 9 of them with their wives. I think you brought yours, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did.
Well, I know Sergeant Major Dulcie brought his, too. She's in the Army also. Right?
Yes, she is.
And
She's a member of the Women's Army Corps.
Very attractive couple. Who, by the way, in that particular family, the Dulcies, where they're both in the Army, who gives the orders at home? Have you...
Well, that's a moot question.
Yeah, I imagine, too. Yeah. Well, Sergeant O'Brien, delighted to have you and all the rest of your recruiters here. I'll bet you between you fellas you've gotten literally thousands into the Army.
Well, we believe we have. I think we set a record here, but it's an easy thing to do when you represent the finest product in the world.
Well, you sure?
And, we have no trouble doing it, especially when we enjoy our work like we do.
Well, good for you. One thing about it, as far as your wives are concerned, they've got to be ready and able to travel at all times, don't they?
They're good soldiers also.
I bet you lived in how many places since you've been married?
Oh, since marriage,
yeah,
I've been very fortunate. I've been just one.
Oh, but usually it's 6, 7, 8,
yes,
9,
sir,
10, 12, 14, yeah. They got to be ready to go everywhere. You know Gene Gale, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Grand Junction, Colorado. Well, I tell you, you fellas really go after these recruits. He wrote on his card that he rode a horse 36 miles just to get a rancher's son to enlist in the Army.
Well, I believe that.
Yeah, you guys go after him, don't you?
Well, that's so.
Yeah. And then there's Jean Taylor, you know her? St. Joseph, Missouri. She's the wife of one of your
yes, I do.
Recruiters. And interesting thing how she got her husband. He was a military policeman, and he arrested her, gave her her first traffic ticket, and later became her husband. Yeah.
That's a lot of spirit in our
Yes, you do, yeah. It also shows that some of these military policemen, when they're dealing with a young lady, are not quite as hard-boiled as they appear on the surface.
No, sir, there's a little bit more than justice given.
Yeah, you betcha. And then there's Sergeant Mel Colby in your groups from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Here's a guy who spent his honeymoon in a fish house. That's what he wrote. Do you know anything about that?
Probably fishing for more men.
Well, that could be. That could be, but that's what he wrote in there. Holy mackerel. Then, Sergeant, I looked at your card, and you asked me if I ever received a live grenade in the mail. I hope not. Did you?
Yes, sir. I received the grenade pin and was told I'd get the rest of it when the recruit came home.
Oh. Seriously, any of these guys that you've gotten into the Army, they haven't gone around looking for you afterwards?
No, sir. This is all in good fun.
I know that.
I think each and every one of them can't expound, can't talk about it, and can't be proud enough to be a member of the finest branch of service in the world.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Having a son in the Air Force.
Well, there's still time to re-enlist.
All right, let's get to Laurie Parker now with Remember Me to Jimmy. Scoops tomorrow. Until then, this is your Toastmaster Don McNeill, the whole gang saying so long and be good to your neighbor.
Don McNeill's Breakfast Club has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
In just a moment, you'll hear James Stewart as the six-shooter. There's music for you tomorrow evening with two of your favorite song stylists. First, it's the Dinah Shore Show, and then songs with Sinatra. There's laughter, too, in your Friday lineup with three comedy favorites. The Bob Hope Show with Bob's guest Jerry Colonna, the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show, and Can You Top This? It's a great Friday night program lineup, all of them heard only on NBC. James Stewart as the six-shooter. The man in the saddle is angular and long-legged. His skin is sun-dyed brown. The gun in his holster is gray steel and rainbow mother-of-pearl. Its handle unmarked. People call them both the six-shooter. The NBC Radio Network presents James Stewart as the six-shooter, a transcribed series of radio dramas based on the life of Britt Ponsett, the Texas plainsman who wandered through the Western Territories, leaving behind a trail of still-remembered legends.
It was about 7 o'clock on a Saturday evening, and I was riding down the east trail that led from Castle City over to Crown Ranch. It's been a real warm day. A little breeze was coming up now, and things were cooling off to a nice, comfortable twilight. I hadn't seen any signs of habitation for the last few miles. The soil was pretty thin and sandy. Probably wouldn't grow much. But a little further on, the ground turned brown, rich-looking. I noticed a frame house sitting back, 50 yards back from the trail. When I was almost even with the house, the front door opened and somebody came running out toward me.
Hey, mister, would you hold up a minute, mister?
Young boy, it looked like, about 15, 16, wearing blue jeans and a checkered shirt and a little peaked cap pulled down over his ears. Whoa, Scar. Whoa, boy. Whoa, boy. Howdy, son. What can I do for you?
You come from town, mister?
That's right.
You didn't run across Friendly DeWitt on the trail, did you?
Friendly DeWitt?
You know him, don't you, mister? He runs the Traveling Mercantile.
How's that?
Oh, sure. We're too far out to get into town very much, so he brings around a wagon load of goods every once in a while. I just don't know what we'd do without him.
Well, don't stand out there all night jawing. Just find out about Friendly, like I told you.
The gentleman ain't seen him, ma'am.
Oh, shut up, Fern. You can wear something else if you have to. The supper dishes are waiting, Cindy Lou.
What was that she called you?
Cindy Lou?
But that's a girl's name. Oh. In this light here, the way you were dressed, I sort of thought maybe you were...
It don't matter. Thanks again, mister. So long.
So long. Cindy Lou. Well, I gave Scar a little touch of my heel. Let's go. Come on. Come on, boy. We started off. I figured I'd had about 8 miles to go before I'd reach the Crown Ranch. I hadn't been through this part of the country in quite a spell. But I was pretty certain Floyd Prince would remember me from the old days. He'd sign me on for the summer if he had an opening. Come on, Scar. Come on. It was about 15 minutes later, and I came to the fork in the trail. I saw a wagon rolling along from the south. It was some wagon, too. Almost twice the size of anything I'd ever run into before. And the way the canvas bulged out, it looked like it was loaded to the brim. Well, it stood to reason that this was the traveling mercantile that Cindy Lou had mentioned. Whoa, Scar. Whoa.
Whoa, Peggy. Whoa, Peggy. Easy now. Easy there. Howdy, friend.
Good evening. You're, Mr. DeWitt, I take it.
You take it right, sir, except for that Mr. part. Just call me friendly, like the rest of the folks. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Something you needin', mister?
No.
Shoelaces, chewing tobacco, flour, salt, kitchen utensils, ammunition, yardage, zone equipment, anything at all. Just you name it, I got it, here in my wagon.
Yeah, it sounds like quite an assortment there.
Oh, that's only a part of it. I didn't even touch on my medical supplies.
Oh.
Old Doc Barstow's painkiller, Seth's simple all-purpose salve, Miss Jenny's bunion plasters and corn removers. You got any corns that's troubling you, mister? They're just a thing.
No, I don't do too much walking.
Oh. Some liniment, then?
No, thanks, just the same. I'm in pretty good health.
Well, what about wearing apparel? I got a full line of Levi's shirts, bandanas, cotton and wool socks.
No, I'm afraid I'm just not in the market for anything friendly. The only reason I stopped was to tell you that those folks down the trail were getting kind of anxious about you.
Folks down the trail?
Uh-huh. You know, the farmhouse a couple miles back there.
Well, I just can't imagine who you're talking about, mister. I ain't even headed that way. I'm making a delivery over the Davis Ranch near Evergreen. The Davis girl's getting married tomorrow morning. I'm bringing all the paraphernalia for the wedding. You sure somebody in this neighborhood's looking for me?
They seem to be. I don't know the family's name exactly. The girl I bumped into is called Cindy Lou.
Well, that must be Cindy Lou Ames. But why would... Great yellow pumpkins. Hattie Ames. That dress she ordered for her daughter Fern. What time you make it out to be, mister? I ain't unpacked my shipment of alarm clocks yet.
Oh, it must be 7:30.
Well, maybe I can get there before they leave. If I don't, Hattie Ames will skin me alive. Giddy up, Teddy. Come on now. Come on, Francis. Come on. I knew there was something else. And I was working on that dress only this morning, too. Shortening the hem. So long, mister. Hope you enjoy the square dance.
Dance? What do you... Come on, Scar. Come on. Dance? What are you talking about?
Well, that's where you're heading, ain't it? The Crown Ranch?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is, but I didn't know about any dance or anything. I was going to ask Floyd Prince for a job.
Oh, you mean tell me you ain't heard about the celebration tonight?
No, not a word.
Well, it's a count of Floyd Prince's son. He just come home from schooling back east.
Well, you mean Monty Prince?
Yeah, that's the boy's name. You know him, mister?
Oh, I used to. He was just a little shaver then. He's all grown up, huh?
Well, he must be 20 or so, somewheres along in there. I guess he'll be taking over the crown one of these days.
I see. Well, I reckon better put off my job hunting until some other time. I wouldn't want to bother Floyd and give him a party. I'll ride along with you for a spell, friendly.
Well, if you're an acquaintance of Floyd Prince's, I imagine you'd be more than welcome at his party. Practically everybody in the neighborhood's been invited.
Maybe so. But fact is, I'm not too good at square dancing. I don't know, but there's just something about my legs. A little too much of them, I reckon.
Well, I just hope you're the only absentee.
What do you mean?
Well, Hattie's daughter Fern. She was planning to wear this here dress her ma ordered from me.
Oh.
Yeah, like as not she's having a tantrum right now. She sure takes after Hattie.
She does, huh?
Yes, sir. And mind not delivering her outfit on time, well, there'll be real catastrophe. You see, Hattie's aiming to marry her Fern off to this young Monty Prince. And she'll probably manage it, too. Hattie usually gets her own way. Uh-oh. Look over there, mister. Buggy coming up the trail. That'll be Hattie and Fern on the way to the crown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Well, it's too late to do anything about the dress now if they're started off. Yeah, the best thing for me to do is to stay out of sight. I'll get my wagon over here under these trees here. Easy, Francis, easy now.
But what do you... They're bound to see you sitting there.
Oh, you don't know Hattie Ames like I do.
What do you mean?
Why, she's as nearsighted as a buffalo. Can't see her hand in front of her face unless she's wearing her bifocals.
Oh.
And she won't be wearing them either. Not if she's heading for a shindig.
Well, what about the daughter?
Well, I told you, Fern takes after her mother. She's as blind as a bat without her spectacles.
I see.
Here they come. There. What did they tell you?
Oh, doggone. They never even glanced over toward us, did they?
No, not a glance. Well, I guess I might as well mosey over to the Davis Ranch. Nice meeting you, Mr.
No, I'm sorry, Friendly. I meant to introduce myself. My name's Ponsett, Britt Ponsett.
Oh, why, Mr. Ponsett, I didn't recognize you.
Oh, no reason why you should, Friendly. No reason you should.
Well, I heard so much about you. And that gun. Here, Mr. Ponsett, here. I got me some samples of a new hair tonic. Smells real elegant, too. Maybe you'd like to try it. They say it'll grow fuzz on... Not that there's anything matter with your hair, you understand?
Well, my supply is kind of decreasing. A little tonic might be very handy.
All right, sir. Just a second now. I got it right back here. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, thanks, Friendly.
My pleasure, Mr. Ponsett. My pleasure. Well,
Say, I just happened to think, what happened to the other daughter? Well, that buggy that just went by, there were only 2 women in it. Now, the girl I met back at the farm, she wasn't
Oh, you mean Cindy Lou? Well, she wouldn't be going to Prince's dance.
She wouldn't have.
No. You see, Hattie ain't got much use for her. Cindy ain't Hattie's real kin. She's just a stepdaughter.
Oh.
Yeah, Hattie and Fern, well, they just seem to go out of their way to make things miserable for her. Like this here dance, for instance. Everybody knows that Monty Prince and Cindy Lou used to be real friendly when they was kids. Well, she'd probably give her eye tooth to go to that party tonight, see him again, but, well...
It's too bad she can't.
Yeah, but there's nothing anybody can do about it. Why, she don't even have a dress to her name. You know, I've got a hunch she'd be real pretty if Hattie ever allowed her to fix herself up.
Well, she seemed a mighty nice-looking girl to me.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
What's the matter?
Why shouldn't Cindy Lou go to that dance tonight? With all the stuff in this wagon, I could fix her up so she'd be the prettiest girl there.
Oh, maybe you could, Friendly. Maybe you could.
It'd sure be a good trick to play on Hattie and Fern. Why, if they couldn't tell my wagon at 50 feet, they'd never know Cindy Lou when I got done with her. Come on, Mr. Ponsett.
Why?
Well, girl can't go to square dance all by herself. She's got to have an escort.
Oh, I suppose so. But, now hold on, Friendly. What, you don't mean me?
Well, you're a friend of the princess. You said so yourself.
Why, I'm old enough to be her...
If we don't hurry, Mr. Ponsett, square dance will be all over. Come on. Step lively there, Francis. Come on there, Peggy. Let's go traveling. Come on, Mr. Ponsett.
Don't understand, Mr. DeWitt. You mean you want to loan me a dress?
And all the trimmings, Cindy Lou. Before I get done with you, you'll be so dooted up that your own stepmother won't recognize you.
And you want to take me to the dance, Mr. Ponsett?
Yeah, sure. That is, if you want to go. Yeah.
Well, that's right kindly of you both, but the fact is, I don't have no interest in attending the doings at the Crown.
Oh, you don't, huh? Well, in that case...
I don't know where you ever got such a notion, Mr. DeWitt. As if I cared anything about seeing Monty Prince again. I haven't even thought of him since he went away to school. Not once.
Well, I reckon your stepsister Fern's done some thinking about him.
A lot of good it'll do her. Monty wouldn't look to... I mean, it's none of my business, one way or the other.
No, I guess it isn't. I'm sorry we bothered you. Let's go, Friendly.
Okay, Mr. Ponsett. Night, Cindy Lou.
Mr. DeWitt.
Was there something you wanted, Cindy?
I guess maybe I'm acting kind of ungrateful. I mean, well, you both did put yourself out for me, and it was real generous of you to do it. I don't suppose it would do me no harm to go to that square dance. For a little while, anyway. If you really want me to.
Well, now, that's more like it. Let's see now. The first thing we got to do is find a dress. You come on out to my wagon, Cindy. We'll pick something that'll make you look like a princess. Yes, sir, a real princess.
Well, I want to tell you, Friendly wasn't very far wrong. That's just exactly how Cindy Lou looked when she came out of that bedroom about half an hour later. And for a minute, we just stood there, just not saying a word, just staring at her.
Is something wrong? Don't I look good enough to go to the dance?
Good enough? Why, Cindy Lou, You're as pretty as a picture. Ain't you, Brett?
Why, she sure is. Well, if you're all ready, Cindy, well...
There's just one thing. We forgot the shoes.
Shoes?
I don't have any party slippers of my own.
Oh. Well, you see, Cindy Lou, that's about the only item I don't stock in my wagon. I guess you can make do with the shoes you're wearing, can't you?
Oh, I don't see how. I mean, well, look at them yourself.
Yeah, no. No, wait. I am carrying one pair of fancy slippers. They're part of the Davis girls' wedding outfit.
Well?
No. I couldn't loan them to Cindy, though. I got to leave for the Davis ranch as soon as you two start off for the dance. I promised I'd be there first thing in the morning, and it's a good 8 hours drive in that wagon of mine.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Well, it was real nice of you both, anyhow. I'll never forget what you tried to do for me and how I felt when I put on this dress. And how wonderful.
Now, hold on, Cindy. Hold on.
It's all right.
Just let me do some figuring here. Let's see. If I was to leave here by midnight, I could be at the Davis place along about 8 a.m. That ought to be early enough. Well, there ain't no reason why you both couldn't be back here before 12 o'clock, is there?
No reason at all.
Well, then I guess the next thing to do is to find out whether them slippers will fit or not. I'll bring them right in.
Well, I just don't know what to say, Mr. Ponce. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. It all seems like something out of a storybook.
You know, Cindy, I was just thinking the same thing.
Well, here you are, Cindy. Try them on.
Gee, they sure do look small, don't they?
Yeah? You think you can make it?
Oh, I don't... Oh, there. Oh, it is kind of tight, but...
Well, try the other one. If you can get one on, the other ought to go, too.
There.
Good. Now, you going to be able to walk all right?
Oh, I'll be able to walk all right, Mr. Dewey. The way I feel I could almost fly.
Well, then you better get started. You won't have too long to the dance, you know. And don't forget, Brett, you got to have her back here by midnight.
Don't worry, friendly. I won't forget.
You are listening to James Stewart as the Six-Shooter, the story of Britt Ponsett, the Texas plainsman whose name has become legend throughout the great Southwest. Now, Act 2 of the story called When the Shoe Doesn't Fit.
I hoisted Cindy Lou up on Scar, and she managed to seat herself in front of the saddle. I kind of held on to her to keep her from falling off, and we started off for the Crown Ranch. It took us about 45 minutes to get there, and that party was in full swing when we walked into the parlor.
Rope your cow and brand your calf. Bring your honey an hour and a half.
Floyd Prince came over to the door when he saw us and told me we're more than welcome. He's real nice, considering I'd invited myself. I sort of managed to avoid mentioning Cindy Lou's name, and what with all the hubdub, Floyd didn't seem to notice that I hadn't introduced her properly. But Floyd's son, Monty, well, he didn't wait for any introduction. He just took one look at Cindy, and that was the last I saw of her. As far as I could tell, the other girls at the party were just completely out of the picture from then on. I waited until there was an intermission and the dancing, and then I moseyed over to the punch bowl.
Oh, can I help you, Mr. Ponce?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm Mrs. Ames, Hattie Ames.
Oh, how do, Miss Ames?
Oh, Fern, over here, dear. I want you to meet somebody. This is my daughter, Fern, Mr. Ponce.
I'm pleased to meet you, Fern.
Well, speak up. Fern's sort of shy.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, that young lady that you brought to the party, she doesn't seem to be spending much time with you, does she? Oh, that's the trouble when a man brings a pretty girl to a dance. He's apt to find himself all alone. Fern, stop your fidgeting. of course. Now, some girls have character as well as looks.
All right,
I say.
now, grab your partners for the next dance. And I'll tell everybody join in.
Oh, my goodness. They're starting another dance. Now, Mr. Ponset, don't think that you have to ask my permission to dance with Fern. You just go right ahead.
Yes. Fern? Like I said, I'm not much of a square dancer, but there just didn't seem to be any way of turning Fern down. Well, I guess I should say there wasn't any way of turning her mother down. So, we did our best. Whoop. Sorry, Fern. As the evening wore on, it didn't look like she had any other partner lined up. Well, I figured it was up to me to sort of fill in. Whoop, whoop. Oh, I sure didn't mean to kick you, Fern. There's one thing about her, though. She sure didn't talk a man to death. And somehow the time passed, and the next thing I knew, it was after 11 o'clock. Now, that meant Cindy and I had to be starting home, so I looked around for her, but she wasn't in sight. I excused myself for Fern and headed out the front porch. Yeah, Cindy was there all right, but the thing that surprised me was she was all alone. Looked like she'd been crying. Cindy.
Oh, Mr. Ponset.
What, are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine, just fine.
Where's Marty?
I don't know.
Well, maybe you'd better find him and say goodnight.
I never want to see him again. Not as long as I live.
Oh. Well, what happened? I thought you two were hitting off real good.
I thought so, too, at first. While we were inside dancing, everything was just wonderful. And then, all of a sudden, he started acting like he didn't care about me at all. Said he couldn't be spending all his time with one girl. He had to dance with some of the others.
Mm-hmm. Well, after all, the party is in his honor.
And that ain't all, Mr. Ponset. He didn't even know who I was.
Well, didn't you tell him?
Well, I thought sure he'd know. I never figured he'd forget me, not in just a few years.
Well, you've changed, Cindy, and the way you're all fixed up tonight.
Oh, that wouldn't matter. Not if Monty really liked me. I'd never forget him. I'd know him no matter how much he changed or how he dressed.
Well, all you had to do was just tell him who you were, you know.
No, I just couldn't. And you mustn't tell him either. You've got to promise me you won't. Now, please, Mr. Ponset.
Mm-hmm. Well, if that's what you want. Well, I think maybe we'd better leave.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready.
You got everything?
I guess so. Why?
I don't know. I just thought maybe you'd lost one of your slippers or...
My slippers? Whatever gave you that idea?
I don't know. I just sort of crossed my mind somehow. Never mind. I'll get Scott. Well, it just goes to show you that stories in real life don't work out the same way. Instead of falling in love, Cindy and Monty Prince were just far away as ever, and even farther. And there didn't seem to be any way of getting them together either. Leastways, he wasn't going to be able to do it by finding one of her slippers at the dance, that's for sure. As a matter of fact, she couldn't have lost a shoe at the dance if she'd wanted to. When we got her home, we found out she couldn't even get them off.
Doggone it, Cindy, you must not be trying. Well, you didn't have this much trouble getting them on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. DeWitt. I'm doing my best. My feet must have swelled up from the dancing or something. The slippers just...
Here, let me do it.
Oh, sure.
Why, they're just plain stuck fast.
I know. Maybe in the morning my feet will go back to normal. And then you...
Hey, look out the window there, friendly. Isn't that a buggy out there?
Holy smoke. Fern and Hattie. So long, Cindy. Bye, Britt.
Oh, wait a minute, friendly. I don't want them catching me here either.
But what about the slippers and the wedding tomorrow?
The bride's wearing a long dress, reaches clear down to the floor. She can get married in a bare feet if she has to.
Well, thanks for everything.
Good night, Cindy. I'm sorry things didn't work out better for you, but good night. Well, along about noontime the next day, I was in my hotel room washing up for Sunday dinner. They were planning to serve fried chicken and corn fritters and apple pie. The Castle Hotel always put the food on family style, so I figured I'd better be real prompt or there wouldn't be any... Yeah? Yeah, come in. Oh, Marty. Oh, what are you doing in town?
I came to see you, Mr. Ponset.
Oh, is that so?
It's about that girl you brought out to the Crown last night.
Well, I sort of had the impression you weren't too interested in her.
Oh, I'm interested, all right. I wish I wasn't, but I am.
How's that?
Well, you see, Mr. Ponset, before I went back east, I was real fond of another girl. Cindy Lou Ames, her name is.
Oh.
And we sort of promised that we'd wait for each other. But last night, that girl with you, well, she sort of made me forget Cindy.
She did, huh?
For a while, anyway. And then I remembered, and I felt real bad because it didn't seem like I was being fair to Cindy. So I went inside and I left the other girl to herself. But doggone it, all night long I kept thinking about both girls, and they sort of got mixed up in my mind. I couldn't even keep them straight.
Uh-huh. You've got quite a problem there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Good morning, Mr. Ponset. I finally managed to get... Oh.
Cindy Lou.
Hello, Monty.
Golly, it's good to see you. I was hoping you'd be at the dance last night.
Were you?
You know, you haven't changed a bit.
No, I guess I haven't. They're in this paper bag, Mr. Ponset. Those things I borrowed last night.
Oh.
I thought maybe you could return them to Mr. DeWitt for me.
Well, I'm not sure I'll be running into him again, Cindy.
Here, Mr. Ponset. Now be careful. Don't... Oh, Mr. Ponset.
Oh, doggone it, Cindy. I just sort of slipped out of my fingers. Well, here, I'll put these party shoes back in the sack. There.
Well, goodbye, and thanks. Goodbye, Monty.
Cindy, wait a minute. Where'd you get those shoes?
I don't know what you mean.
Why, they're the same ones they're exactly the same. Cindy Lou, you were at the square dance last night. You and that other girl... Why, there wasn't any other girl. It was you. No wonder I couldn't get you straightened out in my...
What are you talking about?
Tell her, Mr. Ponset, what I told you just before she came in.
Well, I think maybe you'd better tell her yourself, Monty. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of anxious to get downstairs while there's still some fried chicken left, so...
Now, you listen to me,
you'll
Cindy.
excuse me.
I've been in love with you ever since I can remember.
I don't believe it.
Well, it's true. And it doesn't matter what kind of a dress you wear or how your hair is fixed or...
Well, there wasn't much point in my hanging around to see if Cindy and Monty would finally get together. There's only one way a story like this can end. I guess you know as well as I do. They were just bound to live happily ever after.
The Six Shooter is a transcribed NBC Radio Network production in association with Review Productions. It is written by Frank Burt and is based on a character created by him.
Cream of wheat is so good to eat, yes, we have it every day. We sing this song, it will make us strong, and it makes us shout, hooray! It's good for growing babies and grown-ups too to eat. For all the family's breakfast, you can't beat cream of wheat.
Cream of Wheat, great American family cereal, presents Let's Pretend. Well, hello, pretenders. Well, thank you for that great big welcome. Doggone, we got an echo.
Everybody's in the act today, Uncle Bill.
And we're glad of it. Sybil, what's our story?
The all-time favorite of all the years, Uncle Bill, Cinderella.
The same as the records we can get at the music stores?
Exactly like it, Uncle Bill.
And Arthur Anderson says how we travel.
Well, on a brisk morning like this, what could be sweeter than a brisk gallop through the park?
Well, fine, Arthur. Give every man a horse he can ride, and away we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, girls and fellas, head straight for Let's Pretend. Turn left for the story of Cinderella. Let's go.
Once upon a time, a cruel woman married a man she didn't love. Then, demanding that he journey far away to increase their wealth, she took her 2 heartless daughters and arrived at her new husband's home, where, until then, only love and gentle consideration had been known.
Now, girls, before we go in, here's what we'll do. The first thing is to put this daughter of his in her place. You're right, Mother.
And the sooner the better.
She'll soon find out who's running this place. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I certainly am.
Remember, don't waver an inch.
Oh, how do you do? You're my new mother and my 2 new sisters. Do come in.
Thank you.
Father wrote me that you would arrive today. I'm so very happy to welcome you here. May I call you Mother?
Indeed you may not. How ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say anything that would offend you. I only wanted to welcome you to our house.
Your house? Please remember, girl, that from now on, this isn't your house, but ours.
Of course. Whatever we have is yours, too, from now on. Are you Flora or Isabella?
I'm Flora. But Miss Flora to you, my girl. Please remember your place.
I shall be so glad to have 2 sisters. And you are Isabella, aren't you?
I'm Miss Isabella, but don't call me sister. You may help me to dress and wash my clothes if you like, but don't think that we can ever take you into our family, you poor, ugly little thing.
And if she expects to live here, she might as well know she'll have to work for her keep.
I don't understand.
I'm sure that she'll never be anything else but a scullery maid, Mother. She's too ugly and clumsy.
Yes, if she doesn't break all the dishes first. I dare say she'll learn to be useful.
Well, why are you sitting over there on the hearth, simpleton? You'll scatter the cinders all about the room. Look at her, girls. Trying to hide in them, were you? Why, I know your name from now on. It's Cinderella.
Cinderella! Where is that girl? Never around when you want her.
Cinderella!
Did you call me?
Certainly. It's time to help us dress for the ball.
I told you to have everything ready for the girls at 8. Where have you been?
I was working in the kitchen.
Stupid. Don't stand there. Get my dress. Start to curl my hair.
Comb mine first. And I want it done beautifully, too. The prince is to dance with me tonight.
Yes. You'd better do hers first. It doesn't take so long to make me pretty. My hair's easy to dress because it's naturally lovely.
Your hair is lovely. Then so is a horse's tail.
Why?
Oh, stepmother, mayn't I go to the ball tonight? I'd love to see the prince and dance and hear the music. May I, madam, please?
You go to the ball? You, a scullery maid?
Please, don't make fun of me anymore. Can't you love me just a little? I don't
stop talking and fasten Isabella's dress.
Ouch! Don't pinch me like that. And don't spill your tears on my gown, either.
I'm sorry, Miss Isabella. Oh, here comes the coach. Hurry, girls. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Oh, what lovely horses. Look how they prance. Oh, please, stepmother, let me go. If only to watch from a corner.
Certainly not. Come, girls. Isabella, get your fan.
Got it, Mother.
Pick up your train, Flora. Come on.
Oh, I'll tell the prince that you sent your regards.
You may stand in the door and watch us drive off.
Hurry, drive off. We're late now.
Why should they be so unkind to me? Oh, how lonely and miserable I am. I wish I had someone to talk to. Someone who would understand.
Don't cry, Cinderella. You'll spoil your pretty face.
Oh, what a lovely lady you are. But who are you?
I'm your fairy godmother, Cinderella.
My fairy godmother?
One who loves you and understands. And I'm going to send you to the ball.
Oh, how wonderful. But how can you do it? I have no clothes. I have no carriage. How can I go?
A fairy godmother can do anything. Listen carefully and do as I say. Fetch me that pumpkin by the pantry door.
The pumpkin by the pantry door. Here it is.
Put it there in the roadway. Now, do you see this magic wand I have in my hand?
Is it magic?
Of course it is. Watch. I touch the pumpkin, so. And there's your golden coach.
A golden coach? Fairy godmother, how perfectly wonderful. Now what do we do?
Why, the horses are next, aren't they?
Oh, dear, yes, and we have none.
Get the mousetrap in the cupboard.
Mousetrap in the cupboard. Here it is, godmother. Oh, it has 6 little mice in it.
Open the door of the trap and let them out one at a time. And watch the magic wand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are your 6 dancing white horses.
What beautiful horses. Oh, they're the prettiest I ever saw. They're shod with gold. Oh, fairy godmother, how thrilling. Now what do we do?
Why, we must have a coachman, mustn't we? Can a princess drive her own carriage?
Oh, goodness. But where do we find a driver?
Fetch me that rat trap. By the cellar steps. Is there a rat in it?
Yes, look. A great big fat one.
Splendid. What a jolly driver he'll make. Open the door. Watch.
Good evening, pretty princess. I thought I'd never get here. Where to, m'lady?
Oh, fairy godmother. Now he's a coachman in purple livery. Isn't he fun?
I'm a jolly one, I am, and the best driver in the country. Hey, whoa, you nags, whoa.
Am I ready to go?
Indeed not. A fine princess must have footmen. Cinderella, bring me 6 lizards.
6 lizards, godmother? Wherever will I find them?
You don't know the magic of fairies, do you? Look, they're by the dooryard.
Oh, I see them. 6 huge lizards. I'll get them. Here they are.
Then here we go. Your footman, princess.
Where to, Your Highness?
Oh, look. 6 handsome footmen in gold uniforms, too. Oh, fairy godmother.
Hey, whoa! These horses are getting restless waiting, princess.
Now I think we're almost ready.
But, fairy godmother, look at my dress. It's nothing but rags. How can I go to the ball?
Stand still, Cinderella. Close your eyes. Now open them. What do you see?
A dress of creamy white velvet trimmed in ermine.
And your hair?
Silver and crystal roses are twined in my braids. How beautiful.
You look like a lovely silver moonbeam, my darling. No, one thing more. On your feet, tiny slippers of sheerest glass.
The loveliest slippers I've ever seen.
Footman, you see them crystal slippers? Down off the carriage and carry Your Highness to the coach.
At your service, princess. Now listen carefully, my dear. Go to the ball. But mind, you must return before the clock strikes 12, or your coach will change back into a pumpkin and your footman back into lizards. Will you remember?
Oh, yes, indeed I will. Oh, thank you, godmother. I'm the happiest girl in the world, and I'm going to the ball.
Good night. Before 12, remember.
Good night, and thank you 1,000 times, godmother. I didn't know a girl could be so thrilled and so happy.
Up on the box, footman.
Up it is, sir.
Get up, Prince Beauty. Get up. Come, Bess. Get up. To the castle.
To the castle.
spite of her stepmother's refusal, Cinderella, aided by her fairy godmother, goes to the ball. Everyone, including her two stepsisters, Flora and Isabella, is amazed at the beauty of the unknown princess. And all evening, the handsome prince dances with no one else but Cinderella.
Oh, my lovely princess. May I take you into supper?
Will it give you pleasure, Prince?
It will be the happiest moment of my evening, princess.
I'm not hungry, are you?
I need nothing more than to gaze at you. Oh, who are you, lovely lady? Why haven't I known you before? What kingdom do you rule?
Let's say the kingdom of pots and pans, Your Highness.
Kingdom of pots and pans. Oh, I never heard of it. Where is it?
Just next to China.
Oh, Prince, may we meet the princess?
And who are these ladies, Prince?
Two of my guests tonight, Your Highness. This is Miss Isabella and this Miss Flora.
We are indeed charmed to meet Your Highness.
We are so long to know you, Your Highness. Thank you. Have we met somewhere before?
Oh, unfortunately, no. I'm sure we would never forget such beauty as yours.
Your pardon, ladies, but I must see the princess for a moment to discuss a matter of state.
Oh.
It's most important. I'm sure you'll excuse us.
Well, of course. We were so happy to meet you, Princess. Oh, yes, indeed, we were, Princess. Why so
I've tried to avoid them all evening. Forgive me for saying it, but they're rather silly girls.
Yes, I find them so. Now, what's the matter of state you wish to talk about?
The state of my heart, Princess.
Oh.
I frankly confess that I'm madly in love with you. Will you marry me and be the queen of my kingdom? Oh, say yes, Princess.
Your Highness, you can't mean that.
But, lovely lady, I do.
But you mustn't. You don't know me. How would you feel if you discovered I weren't really a princess?
It wouldn't matter in the least. I'd want to marry you anyway. Oh, you're perfect. From your little golden head to your tiny, tiny feet and their beautiful slippers of glass.
Oh, is that clock striking 12?
Why?
Oh, it couldn't be. It is. I must go.
Oh, no.
No, don't. I must. Goodbye.
A moment, please. Don't go, my princess. Page boy, did you see the princess? Did she go this way?
No, sire. Only a very poorly dressed girl went this way.
Boy, you must be blind. Look here.
Where, sire?
Here is her little glass slipper. Right on the castle step. Of course she went this way.
Well, perhaps she did, sire. I didn't notice. I was so excited watching something else. Strangest thing I ever saw.
What was it?
Well, sire, there was a gorgeous coach standing at the castle gate with 6 prancing horses with plumes on their heads and silver harness. Coachman in royal purple and 6 footmen were waiting. Then, sire, as the clock struck 12, as if by magic, the horses, the coach, everything disappeared. And from out of nowhere, Your Highness, a pumpkin rolled down the hill and 6 little lizards chased 6 little mice over the rocks. And they were gone.
That's all very interesting, but it doesn't tell me where the princess is. I must find her. And I will. Page, attend me.
Yes, sire.
Tomorrow we begin the search. I shall call on every maiden in the kingdom. And the one who can wear this little glass slipper will be the one I seek. She shall marry me and be my queen. Tomorrow we start.
Yes, sire. Queens, glass slippers, pumpkins, lizards chasing mice. I think I must be needing some sassafras tea.
Now, don't tell me you can get so much as 1 foot in the glass slipper. If anybody can wear it, I can.
You, with those feet. Ha! You couldn't get your big toe in it.
Is that
Cinderella,
so?
come here quickly.
Yes, madam.
Sweep the steps. Clean off the hearth. The place must look spotless when the prince enters.
Is the prince going to stop here?
Of course, simpleton. Haven't you heard?
Heard what?
Didn't you know that the beautiful princess lost one of her glass slippers at the coronation ball the other night?
And the prince has proclaimed he would marry the girl who would wear it? Well, I'm sure it will fit me, so I'll soon be the queen.
Oh, madam, if he should stop here, may I try it on, please?
Oh, don't be silly. Of course not. Imagine you meeting the prince.
In the first place, your feet are bigger than ours. And in the second place, do you think the prince would marry you, a scullery maid, even though the slipper did fit?
You listen to me, young lady. Sweep off the steps and then see that you keep out of sight.
Very well.
Well, go on and get to work.
Yes, madam.
way for His Highness the Prince.
The prince. He's stopping at the door.
Oh, Mother.
Come, daughters. Look here, pretty.
Oh,
yes.
Open in the name of the Prince.
How do you do?
His Highness the Prince is here. Have you marriageable daughters that will try on the glass slipper,
Oh,
madam?
well, of course I have. Tell the prince to come in, please.
Very well, madam. I'll tell the Prince.
Now, girls, powder your stockings so the slipper will go on easily.
Oh, I'm ready, Mother.
So am I.
His Highness the Prince.
Good day to you, madam.
Oh, Your Highness. Do come in. My daughters are eager to try on the glass slipper. Here they are, Isabella and Flora. But you met them at the ball.
Heaven forbid.
What did you say?
I said, yes, I did.
Oh.
How do you do again?
Oh, Prince, I shall try first.
Very well. Here, page boy, try on the slipper.
Yes, sire. Now, if you'll place your right foot on this pillow, please, my lady.
Yes.
Then...
Try it again.
Well, I'm afraid it's no use, my lady.
Oh, don't tell me that. Try again.
All right.
Oh, dear. Ouch. I guess I can't wear it.
Ha, ha, ha. I knew you couldn't. Here, Paige, try it on my foot.
Yes, my lady. All right.
Ow! Take it off! Start over again. You put it on crooked.
Oh, well.
I
can't.
There.
Ooh.
Isn't it on?
No, my lady. Only over your big toe.
I don't believe it.
You did see for yourself, miss.
Try again.
Well, I can't.
Oh, it hurts. Take it off. I wouldn't have such small feet anyhow.
No, perhaps it's just as well. Good afternoon, ladies. Oh, thank heaven it didn't fit them.
I know what you mean, sire.
Hello. Here's another girl sweeping the steps. Well, good afternoon, little maid. Paige, wait a moment.
Yes, sire.
Little lady, will you try on the glass slipper?
Why, yes, if my stepmother will permit me.
Permit you. I command that you try it on immediately. Here, sit on this cushion. Come, boy, the slipper.
Oh, yes, sire. Your right foot, please, my lady. Look, sire, the slipper fits perfectly.
What?
Why, you see, sire, without an effort, it slipped right on her foot.
Let me look at you, little maid. What? You are the princess of my dreams. I fell in love with you. I danced with you at the castle. But then you disappeared. You are the one, aren't you?
Yes, sire. It was I who danced with you. And here is the mate to the slipper in my pocket.
At last I've found you, my beautiful princess.
Not a princess, sire. Just a scullery maid.
Princess or maid, I found you again, and that's all that matters. What is your name?
They call me Cinderella, Your Highness.
My lovely Cinderella, once more I ask you, will you be my bride and queen and rule my kingdom with me?
In spite of my rags, you ask me to be your queen?
In spite of everything, you're the most precious thing in life to me. Will you say you'll marry me?
Yes, my prince, I will.
Then let the wedding chimes announce that I have found the lady of my heart. Cinderella, the loveliest maiden in all the world, has promised to be my queen.
The pretenders for today were Cinderella,
Marilyn Erskine,
the Prince,
Albert Alley,
the stepmother,
Miriam Wolfe,
Isabella,
Gwen Davies,
Flora,
Daisy Alden,
the fairy godmother,
Sybil Trent,
the page boy,
Jack Grimes,
the driver of the coach.
Arthur Anderson.
Original music was composed and conducted by Maurice Brown. These stories are dramatized and directed by Nyla Mack. This is Bill Adams reminding you that if you live in a locality that is not on daylight saving time, Let's Pretend will be heard next Saturday morning 1 hour later. So consult your local newspaper for the exact time of the broadcast, and remember to eat Cream of Wheat, the great American family cereal. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting Company.
The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Perry, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of a complete line of famous quality food products. For a fat man, Gildersleeve is quite a walker. But on bad days coming home from the office, he sometimes takes the B-Line bus. There have been a lot of bad days lately, and this is one of them.
Back in the rear there. Come on, don't be afraid, folks. Step back. The rear end goes the same place as the front end. Step back.
Oh, yeah?
Come on, Fatso, you're blocking progress.
Oh?
Shove back, will you?
What do you think I'm doing? Zoop. Pardon, madam.
Well.
All clear there. Come on, watch the door.
Anybody ever rides on these things?
Oh, hello, Mr. Bullard. I didn't see you there.
Hello, Gildersleeve. Here, grab this strap. I'll take this one.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Bullard. It's a little crowded, isn't it?
Yeah, awful. There ought to be a law.
Yeah, you said it.
As a matter of fact, I only happen to be riding on the bus because my car's in the shop. Mrs. Bullard has the station wagon.
Oh, me too. I just happen to be riding on it. Say, what do you think of the election? Or have I asked you that?
It's a mandate from the people.
My opinion exactly. By the way, how is Mrs. Bullard?
Oh, she's fine.
That's good. And the rest of the family? Haven't seen little Craig around much lately.
Yes, we must get him and your boy together one of these days.
Yes, we must.
Say, tell me, Gildersleeve, is your boy learning anything at that school?
School? Why, I don't know. I guess so. Why?
Well, I'm darned if I think they teach him a thing. Now, Craig's been going to that school for 2 years. Can't read. Can't read a blooming thing.
Well, after all, Craig's only...
Can't even spell his own name. Why, I could read when I was 5. It's this modern education, Gildersleeve. They don't teach him anything.
You don't think so?
Projects. Everything is projects. Everything is too darn much fun. Wasn't that way when I went to school. We worked.
Oh, me too. We really had to buckle down. Yes, sir.
Discipline. That's what's lacking these days. Discipline.
A little of that old hickory stick.
That's the idea. Oh, goodness. Why, do you know when Craig was in kindergarten last year, I found out the teacher had them sitting on the floor, on mats? What kind of foreign idea is that?
Well, that's news to me, Bullard. In my day, we had desks and benches.
You're darn right we did. Kept our hands folded, too. We kept them folded or else.
Yes, sir.
I hated school. I kicked like a steer all the way through. But by Harry, when I got out, I knew something.
Me too.
These darn kids. All they do is have a good time. What kind of a school is that?
I don't know.
Why, they don't even teach them manners. Craig comes home and acts rude to his mother. Say, grab that seat before somebody else gets it.
No. You take it, Mr. Bullard.
Oh, out, please.
Oh, too late.
Darn women, they slide in ahead of you every time. Well, I don't know what you're going to do about it, but I have a good mind to yank Craig out of there and send him to private school like the older boy.
Well, to tell the truth, I haven't paid much attention, I guess.
There's a lot of monkey business goes on down there, Gildersleeve. You ought to look into it.
Yes, sir, I'll do that. Glad you mentioned it. Say, what do you think of the election? Well, I guess I asked you that.
It's a mandate from the people.
Yeah, I guess I asked you.
Leroy, how could you do that? Just when I had the whole house cleaned up nice, all over the place.
I didn't do it. Craig did it.
Well, I ain't going to stand for it, that's all. I don't care who did it. I'm going to have to tell your uncle. Yes, sir, this time I'm really going to tell him. I'm going to tell him, that's all. I'm just going to tell him.
I'll clean it up, Bertie. I'll clean it up.
Well, you better, because I'm going to tell him. I mean it. I'm going to tell him. The minute he walks in here, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to say, Mr. Gildersleeve, just look at this living room. It's a mess. I'm going to tell him who did it, too.
I'm cleaning it up, Bertie.
Well, you better, because I'm going to tell him.
Gosh, we were only playing.
I don't care. I'm going to tell him.
I didn't want to do it anyway. It was Craig that suggested it.
Don't tell him, that's all.
It isn't fair. Craig has all the fun, and I have to do all the dirty work.
Quiet, Leroy. Here comes your uncle.
Good evening, Bertie.
Evening, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Hi, Unc.
Well, what's all this?
Oh, it ain't nothing, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Leroy, what are these cards doing all over the floor? What are all those boxes? What's that stuff under the piano?
Oh, they were just playing, Mr. Gildersleeve. You know how it is. Rainy day, two boys with nothing to do.
Yeah, it was all Craig's idea.
Won't take me a second to straighten it up.
Craig, eh? Nothing to do, eh? Why aren't you upstairs doing your homework?
It's done.
Oh, it is it? Well, we'll just see about that.
Hello, Unky. You're late.
Good evening. I suppose you finished your homework, too.
I didn't have any. I did it all yesterday.
Leroy, you know so much. What's the capital of Maine?
The capital...
Yes, the capital of Maine.
Maine, gosh.
What's the capital? I'll give you till I count 5. 1.
Well, we didn't have that today.
2.
I know where Maine is. It's up there.
3.
Gosh, Maine. It's the only one I can't seem to...
You're not concentrating.
I am so.
4.
Hey, you skipped 3.
All right, 3. Come on. 4, 5. Marjorie, can you tell Leroy the capital of Maine?
Certainly.
Well?
Can you?
All right, what's the capital of Washington?
You mean the state of Washington?
The state of Washington.
Not Washington, D.C. You mean the state.
The state, yes. What's the capital?
Is it Seattle?
I'm asking you. You're not asking me. You're supposed to tell me.
Well, I thought it was Seattle,
That's the trouble, Leroy. You don't really know, do you? You don't really know.
Well, you keep hollering at me. Gosh, how can I...
That's the trouble with these modern schools. They don't teach you anything. I was talking with Mr. Bullard about this on the way home. I don't know whether the fault is yours or your teacher's, Leroy, but by George...
Hey, Unc.
By George, I mean to find out.
Unc.
Yes, Leroy, why are you waving your hand?
The capital of Maine is Augusta.
Did you tell him, Marjorie?
Certainly not.
Well, you're too late, my boy. I'm going down there to school with you tomorrow morning, and I'm going to have a talk with your teacher.
Oh, Unc, you aren't going to do that.
Why not?
Oh, gosh, I'd die if you walked in there in front of everybody.
Unky, I don't think Miss Goodwin is going to like it if you go over her head and start messing around with her teachers.
Who said anything about messing around?
Well, she's the principal, and after all...
All right, I'll have it out with Miss Goodwin. Maybe you're right. Maybe I ought to take it up with her first. After all, I haven't seen Eve in some time. Might just run over to her place after dinner. I know what she'll say, of course, but I know what I'll say. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to find out whether she's got those kids tending to business or sitting on the floor. Well, don't get me wrong, Eve. This isn't my idea, but I hear these things.
You evidently think it's worth your attention, or you wouldn't come running over here with it.
I didn't run.
Frankly, Throckmorton, I'm very tired of hearing people complain about the school. We're badly overcrowded. The teachers are overworked and they're underpaid. But they're doing the best they can with the little they have. And I think they deserve great credit for it.
Oh, so do I. Yes, indeed. Don't misunderstand me, Eve.
I think I understand you very well. You're complaining because Leroy isn't taught exactly the way you were taught. Isn't that so?
Well...
Are you so perfect?
Huh?
Are any of us? If we had learned all there was to be learned, would the world be in such a mess today?
I guess not.
School can't take all the responsibility for a child, you know. If you feel Leroy isn't developing as he should, it's just possible that what is partly to blame is the intellectual atmosphere around the home.
What?
Tell me, do you ever read?
Well, certainly. I read to the children. I read to them, I read the Christmas Carol every year.
Once a year. Do you ever discuss things with Leroy?
Oh, all the time.
I mean, besides his faults.
Well, I'm busy, Eve. Gosh.
Do you ever read yourself?
Now and then, whenever I can.
Now and then.
Well, I told you, Eve, I'm busy.
Busy at what?
Well, things.
Throckmorton, be honest with yourself. Do you remember any of the things you learned at college? Or have you tried to keep up any of the interests you had then?
Gosh, Eve, I came over here to talk to you about Leroy.
This has a great deal to do with Leroy. This is very important to Leroy. Because don't you see, you're Leroy's hero. He worships you. He imitates you. You're his hero. And that's a very great responsibility.
I guess I'm no good, Eve. I guess I'm just a drifter.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I guess you must hate me, all right. I don't blame you.
You're wrong. I like you, Throckmorton, because you're human. And so am I.
Yeah?
It doesn't really seem right. It doesn't really seem right that weakness should be an attraction. But nevertheless...
Oh, I'm awfully weak.
Nevertheless... I sometimes think the only thing that makes life tolerable is the little weaknesses we share in common.
Why don't you move over here where it's comfortable, Eve? I've got another little weakness we could share.
Now, I'm afraid you're making a joke of the whole thing.
Oh, no, I'm not. Believe me, Eve. Just the same, why don't you move over? Oh, you want me to come over there?
I think we're getting off the subject.
Nuts.
Have you ever read Plato's Republic, Throckmorton?
Phooey, why should I read that?
What'd you say?
I said, no, I've never read it, Eve.
Oh, you should. It's one of the truly great books. In fact, I believe it's included in the 100 Great Books.
The what?
The 100 Great Books of all time. Some universities drawn up a list of them. It's really very worthwhile. All the students are required to read them.
Read 100 books?
Oh, I think everyone should read them, if he hasn't already.
Gosh, even if you join the book of the month, you only have to read 12. You're not suggesting I should...
Did you mean what you said, Throckmorton? Do you want to be an example to Leroy? Or do you just want to drift?
I want to drift. Only kidding, Eve. I'm only kidding.
I never know.
I'll do anything you say, Eve.
Well, why don't you just try this book, just to begin with? I'd love to lend it to you.
Well, The Republic of Plato. 389 pages. I don't know, Eve. This looks kind of heavy.
For Leroy, Throckmorton.
Yeah, for Leroy. You say there are 99 others?
Don't let that frighten you. You read them one at a time.
Oh. Say, maybe we could read this together, huh?
I think you'd get more out of it if you read it alone.
Yeah.
But any time you run into trouble with it, why, come over and I'll be glad to help you out.
Is that a promise?
That's a promise.
I'm pretty rusty.
It's still a promise.
Yeah. By George, the things I'll do for Leroy.
A fine cook is always very particular about the salads she serves, preferring to make them whenever she can with one of two famous products, Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise or the popular Miracle Whip, also made by Kraft. Now, both have been scarce for some time, and Miracle Whip will continue to be fairly hard to get because of the sugar shortage. But I have some wonderful news about Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise. Now that the supply of fine salad oil is more plentiful, Kraft Mayonnaise is once again available and in reasonable quantity. Your dealer should have some soon, if not already. Kraft Mayonnaise, you know, is a truly superior mayonnaise with a delicate flavor that comes from the choice ingredients that go into it. Fine salad oil, selected eggs, fragrant vinegar and spices, and as a final touch of perfection, fresh lemon juice is added. And flavor is not all. Its texture, too, is superb. A special beater patented by Kraft gives this mayonnaise a creamy satin smoothness you could never accomplish in your kitchen. For mayonnaise with a rich, homemade goodness, a texture nothing short of marvelous, choose whenever you see it, Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise by Kraft. Now let's get back to the great Gildersleeve, who is about to rebuild his life at the 11th hour. He's finished a thoughtful supper, and now he advances into the living room, which is already occupied by his niece and nephew. Marjorie is sitting on the sofa reading, and Leroy is lying on his stomach in front of the radio, which is playing.
Leroy, turn off that radio, please.
Oh, get in on me playing. It's Clemmy Cornwell.
I have work I wish to do. Marjorie's doing her homework.
What do you think I'm doing?
Homework with your head practically in the loudspeaker? Turn it off. Get your books up off the floor.
Okay.
I must say, Marjorie, what makes you think you can concentrate without music playing?
Doesn't bother me.
Me either.
Now listen to me, both of you. No wonder you're not learning anything in school.
I'm doing all right.
Well, maybe you are, but Leroy isn't. Anyhow, nobody can possibly study with that radio blatting out that hooray for Bob or whatever it is. You've got to play the radio. Why don't you play symphonic music? Why can't we have a little culture around here? Well?
It's okay with me.
I'm glad to hear it.
What is it?
What's what? What's what, culture?
Yeah.
Leroy, really?
I'll tell you what culture is, young man. It's a love for the finer things of life. Oil painting, symphonies, great books like, where's that book I had before supper? Where? Oh, here. Look at that. Plato.
What's it about?
It isn't about anything. It's philosophy. 389 pages of it.
You gonna read it?
Certainly I'm going to read it. And I'm going to enjoy it, too. Well, I am. Plato was one of the greatest thinkers that ever lived.
I know. We had him last semester.
Oh, you did?
He made up a stale thing called platonic love.
What's that?
Holding hands.
It had nothing to do with holding hands. It had nothing to do with physical love. Plato was a very great philosopher, above such things.
Some thinker.
Marjorie, I'm surprised at you. Leroy doesn't know any better, but you're in high school. Well, from now on, we're going to run this house differently.
How?
You'll see. I'll get back to your homework, Leroy. I want to read.
Okay. Gosh, it looks funny. Everybody sitting around with their nose in a book.
There's nothing funny about it. It's the way it should be. Let's see here. Special introduction. Guess I can skip that.
Leroy, can't you sit somewhere else?
For corn's sake, you need the whole sofa?
Now, children, can't we all be quiet and enjoy our reading?
Enjoy it. Exports and imports of Paraguay.
Very interesting subject. See that you learn it. See. Translator's introduction. Seems to be a lot of that, too. Say, if I skip all this, it won't be so bad. Here. The Republic, Book 1. Must be about page 50. Page 1. Page 1? What the... Oh, they use those darn little Roman numerals for all that introduction. Still 389 pages to go. Well, here goes.
How do you like it, Unky?
Oh, fine. Great stuff. Deep, though, deep. See, if a man love justice, he needs fear no attack from a dishonorable citizen, for the just man cares nothing for possessions, and the dishonorable man loves only wealth. Furthermore, if a man loves justice, the gods are on his side till eternity. Eternity is the companion virtue of truth, and truth is the opposite of dishonor. Thus the wisest man is the eternal man, and the eternal man is the philosopher. Judas. See, maybe I could get a little help on this first part.
Where you going?
You keep right on with your work, my boy. I'm going out for a little advanced instruction.
From Miss Goodwin?
Yes. She promised to help me with Plato. I'll see you later.
Okay, but keep it platonic, Unky.
Dark. Where's that darn bell? Oh, well, it probably doesn't work anyway. You must be home. Light in there.
Hello there. I'm afraid you're early.
Early?
I haven't finished dressing yet. I'll unlock the door and you can come and wait in the parlor.
But Eve. What do I do now? Well, might as well go in, I guess. Oh, fire in the fireplace. Cozy for somebody.
What time is it?
About 7:30.
Throckmorton. Is that you?
Sure, it's me. Who'd you think it was?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was expecting someone else a little later.
Tell him not to come.
I can't possibly.
But, Eve, you said you'd help me with my studying.
Throckmorton, you're a child. Wait a minute, I'll be out.
Nuts. You mind if I take off my coat?
No, I suppose not.
Oh, thanks.
The Rachmaninoff Prelude. I didn't know you played that.
That's all I know.
Just what was it you wanted help with, Throckmorton?
Say, that's quite an outfit.
Oh, do you like it?
Well, I don't know. You didn't put it on for me.
Silly. What was it you wanted help with?
Plato, what do you think? That's deep stuff, Eve.
How much of it did you read?
How much?
Yes.
You mean how many pages?
Yes.
Well, I don't know exactly. That introduction is pretty long.
Oh, I'm glad you read that. It's an excellent explanation of the whole book.
It is? Well, I sort of skimmed it.
And then you started in at the beginning of book 1?
Yes. I couldn't make head or tail of it, Eve. A lot of characters with long Greek names running around talking to each other. What's it all about?
Throckmorton, look me in the eye.
What for?
I want you to tell me the truth. Did you read one single page of the book?
Why, Eve, sure I...
Look me in the eye.
I think I read a page. What's so funny?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will help you, Throckmorton. But you've got to make a real effort to help yourself first. Now go back and try again. Read the introduction. Don't skim through it. Read it. And then read the first 20 pages.
20 pages? That's a lot. The introduction's long, too.
All right, 10 pages. Read the first 10 pages, and if you don't understand it, come over and we'll talk about it.
But if you could give me a little idea what it's about, Eve. I mean, right now, before I start.
I've got to go out, Throckmorton.
Who with?
I don't believe you know him. He's a teacher at the normal school.
Teacher? Going to some concert, I suppose.
No. As a matter of fact, we're going dancing.
Eve! Yes, I'm back. Nuts. Now what'll I do? Well, I suppose I can take another crack at Plato. Where's my book?
Right where you left it.
In your chair.
Oh, thank you. Well, stop staring at me. Go on with your work.
I finished it.
You finished what? Your geography?
Yeah.
What about your history?
I can do it tomorrow.
No, sir, none of that. You get that right now and get it done. When you're finished, I'll examine you.
Gosh.
Now. Where was I? Wonder who that guy is she's going out with. Oh, well. Here. Translator's introduction. The Republic of Plato is the longest of his works. They're telling me. Why the devil does he have to pick the longest one? Doorbell! Keep working, Leroy. I'll answer it.
But you're reading.
I will answer it.
It may be Francie. She told me she might drop over.
And she might drop right back where she came from. You don't wish to be disturbed this evening. Well, hello, Judge. Come right in. Glad to see you.
Well, I'm just passing by, Gildy. I saw the light in the parlor, but if you're busy...
Not at all, not at all. Here, let me have your coat.
Thanks, old man.
Come in, sit you doing a spell.
Good evening, Marjorie, Leroy.
Good evening, Judge.
Hi.
Doing a little homework, I see. Sure we won't disturb you?
No, Judge. They've learned to concentrate. Have a chair. Tell me what you've been doing.
Well, Ooh. Book.
Uh-huh.
Well, who's been reading Plato's Republic?
I was glancing through it. I like to read a little philosophy occasionally. And when you're in the mood for philosophy, you can't beat Plato.
You've been reading... Plato?
It's a lot of hot air, isn't it, Judge?
Well, I wouldn't go...
Don't tell me it's a lot of hot air. No practical value whatever. Why fill your head with a lot of theoretical stuff you're never going to use? Am I right, Horace? You bet I am. How about a game of checkers?
Suits me fine. Where's the checkerboard?
Here, underneath. Well, Leroy, what do you want?
Nothing. I'm just going to watch.
What about your history?
Oh, I've done enough.
You've done practically nothing. You get your nose in that history book and learn it. You understand?
Well, no, you said yourself. What's the use of filling your head with a lot of theoretical stuff you're never going to use?
Do your homework, you hear? I'll have no ignoramuses in this household. Which hand do you want, Judge?
This one.
I get to move first.
We'll be hearing from the great Gildersleeve again very shortly. Well, the frost is on the pumpkin and Thanksgiving's almost here. If you're planning a special salad for the big day, top it with real glamour, Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise. Yes, this famous and superior mayonnaise is once again available and in reasonable quantity. Now that the supply of fine salad oil is more plentiful, Kraft is making a fair amount of Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise, and your dealer should have some soon, if not now. Yes, it's good news, for this is mayonnaise with a delicate flavor, a homemade goodness that only choice ingredients can give. Fine salad oil, selected eggs, fragrant vinegar and spices, and as a final touch of perfection, fresh lemon juice. Its texture, too, is something to be proud of. Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise is velvety smooth and creamy. So smooth you'll wonder how it was ever accomplished. Well, a special beater patented by Kraft is the answer. Yes, we're happy to tell you Kraft Kitchen Fresh Mayonnaise is back.
All right, Leroy. Name the 13 colonies. You better have them perfect.
Perfect?
Yeah, perfect.
Gosh. Well, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maryland, Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. That's 12. And Delaware.
Well, I'll be darned. Go to bed, you lucky boy. Good night, folks.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Perry. It is written by John Whedon and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meakin. Included in the cast are Walter Tetley as Leroy, Louise Erickson as the girl who doesn't want to go to Memphis, and Lillian Randolph as Bertie. Judge Hooker is Earl Ross. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next Wednesday for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
It's one of the finest desserts you can imagine. Yes, rich, velvety smooth ice cream made with Frizz. That's F-R-I-Z-Z. Frizz is the new Kraft product women are raving about. It makes real homemade ice cream that has plenty of milk and cream in it. Just add water, a little sugar, and freeze according to directions on the package. Frizz is made by an exclusive process that retains the fresh cream flavor, gives you ice cream that freezes smoothly. Flavor variations from vanilla are easy. 6 generous servings from one package of Frizz.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, bring you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Cary Grant and Irene Dunne in Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keeley.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. No two stars have given so many performances that honestly rate the word classic as Irene Dunne and Cary Grant. And tonight, we've reunited this famous team in a comedy as timely as today's headlines. It's the RKO picture, Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. You know, almost everyone has had a housing problem at some time or other, and the Blandings had their troubles even as you and I. In fact, they had so much trouble, their story became a hit motion picture. You know, you have your idea of a dream house, and your neighbor has another. But one thing is certain. Any well-run dream house will include a supply of the new bath-size Lux toilet soap. Whatever the arguments about architecture, most people agree Lux soap is perfect. Now here's the curtain for Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, starring Cary Grant in his original screen role as Jim and Irene Dunne as Muriel. Like millions of other New Yorkers, Jim and Muriel Blandings and their two young daughters are cliff dwellers. Home to them is an apartment. Oh, adequate, but somewhat crowded. Not that Jim isn't doing well. He's a college graduate, makes $15,000 a year in the advertising business. Anyway, on this crisp September morning, Jim Blandings has just staggered out of bed and commenced a typical 7 o'clock ritual.
You're looking for something, dear?
Oh, you're awake. I'm looking for my socks.
Why don't you look in your sock drawer?
That's where I found my underwear.
Why don't you try your underwear drawer?
I am in my underwear drawer now. Oddly enough, it's full of underwear. All yours.
Well, socks just don't get up and walk away by themselves, dear.
Muriel, now look. I thought we had it clearly understood that the 4 bottom drawers were yours and these 2 top drawers were mine.
The closet.
Huh?
That's where they are. We put them in the closet.
Put what in the closet?
Your socks. Gussie and I decided that from now on we'll keep them in a basket on the shelf.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Basket in the closet. Well, where is the basket?
Right there on the shelf, dear. Under my hat boxes and the overnight bag.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, dear, I do wish you'd try to make a little more effort.
Well, I'll try, dear. Now, look at that. Muriel, maybe if you put the basket on top of the hat boxes instead of underneath the hat boxes.
Jim, just go out and tell Gussie to give you a nice cup of coffee. I'll try and get the girls out of the bathroom.
Oh, thank you, Muriel. I'm sorry. I'll feel better after a cup of coffee.
Oh, excuse me, Jim, my face cream. It's in the medicine cabinet.
I'll be through shaving in a minute.
It's all right. I can reach it.
Ouch!
Oh, did you cut yourself?
I cut myself every morning. I kind of look forward to it.
Well, let's see now. There's Betsy's vitamins.
Oh, take your time, dear. I can spare the blood.
Why don't you get an electric razor?
You can't get used to them.
That's silly. Bill Cole's been using an electric razor for years.
He hasn't got my beard.
Bill's beard is just as coarse and tough.
I am not interested in discussing the grain and texture of Bill Cole's hair follicles before I've had my orange juice.
All I said was, why don't you use an electric razor?
Because I prefer the clean sweep of the tempered steel as it glides smoothly over
No advertising. Please, just hurry, dear. You'll be late for breakfast.
All right, girls. Who did it? Who tore a piece out of my morning newspaper? Well?
I'm sorry, Father. It's part of my research for school.
Oh, I see. Another of Miss Stellwagon's so-called progressive projects.
Now, Jim, there just isn't any point in sending your children to an expensive school if you're going to undermine the teacher's authority in your own dining room.
I am not undermining anything.
I'm in the advertising business, and keeping abreast of the times is important to me.
Bicker.
You drink your milk.
Every time your father and I have a lively discussion, dear, it doesn't necessarily mean we're bickering.
Miss Stellwagen says that advertising is crass commercialism in its lowest form.
Oh, she does she? Well, perhaps your Miss Stellwagen is right. Perhaps I should quit this crass commercialism, which at this very moment is paying for your fancy tuition, those extra French lessons, that progressive summer camp, to say nothing of the very braces on your back teeth.
Jim, I wish you wouldn't discuss money in front of the children.
Why not? They spend enough of it.
Bicker.
All right, girls, get your things now and run along.
Yeah, let's go, Betsy. Goodbye, Daddy.
Well, give my regards to Miss Stellwagen.
Anyway, you're still the nicest father I've ever had.
I'll get it, Gussie.
Hiya, kids.
Bill, we haven't seen you in ages. Sorry, Billy, we gotta run.
Long.
Well, good morning.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Oh, just thought I'd stop by and return these sketches, Muriel.
Coffee?
Yeah, thanks. Now, personally, I think Funkhauser's $2,000 or $3,000 out of line. Of course, you could save that amount by not tearing out the living room wall.
What wall? What are you talking about? Who's Funkhauser?
Oh, Bunny Funkhauser, dear.
Who?
Well, you know that clever young interior decorator we met at the Collins cocktail party.
You mean that young man with the open-toed sandals? What about him?
You know how long we've always said we must do something about fixing up this apartment. Well, Bunny has some simply darling ideas.
What kind of ideas?
Well, I didn't want to bother you until I knew whether we could afford it or not, so I...
How much?
What's the point in asking how much, dear, until you know what you're going to get?
I've seen Bunny Funkhauser. I know what I'm going to get.
Well, I think he's got some fairly interesting sketches here.
Just look at this drawing, Jim. Here's how Bunny sees our living room. Isn't it charming?
What's that thing there? A shoe shine stand?
No. It's a cobbler's bench, dear.
Oh.
You see, the whole room's colonial. Break front, hook rug, student's lamp, pie cooler, and over here, a Martha Washington desk.
Where do I keep my powdered wig?
Well, I think it's perfect. It's us. Bunny says we're very American, very grassroots, very blueberry pie.
Oh, well, don't look at me, Jim. Bunny said it.
How much is all this going to cost?
Well, $7,000.
$7,000?
Well, that includes tearing out the wall, but I quite agree with Bill. I
Oh,
don't...
you do? Well, you're some lawyer, Bill. A defenseless woman without the slightest conception of the value of a dollar asks for advice, and the next minute you've got her tearing out walls. $7,000. I wouldn't put 7 cents into this broken-down rat trap.
How can you talk that way, Jim? This is our home. Why, Joan was practically born in this apartment.
That does not make it a national shrine.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I thought I was doing you a favor.
And you were, Bill. He was just showing you how you could save $3,000 by simply not tearing out the wall.
I could save $7,000 by not doing anything at all.
Well, then that's that, isn't it?
$7,000. Blueberry pie. Have you seen my hat, Muriel?
It's in the hall closet, dear, where it always is. I'll get it for you. Jim, help!
Oh, good morning, Mr. Blandings.
Oh, hello, Mary. Well, I guess the boss will want to see the layouts on Wham Ham.
They're here on your desk, Mr. Blandings.
Oh, thanks. Let's see. When you've got the whim, say wham. Oh, my. Dear. For a grand slam in ham, try wham. Oh, Mary, I didn't really write that, did I?
A man's got to make a living, Mr. Blandings.
Well, maybe Miss Stellwagen's right. Oh, nothing. It's just a private joke between me and whoever's going to be my analyst. Mary, tell me, would you spend $7,000 to tear out somebody else's walls?
Would I what?
Well, especially when for a few thousand more you could fix up a nice old place someplace. You know, somewhere like Connecticut, maybe. Yeah. And have the kind of dream house you've always wanted.
Well, frankly, I never
Mary,
had...
get me the phone numbers of a few of those suburban real estate men. Oh, and call Mrs. Blandings. Tell her to keep this weekend open for a nice drive out to the Connecticut countryside.
They just drove up, Pop. That couple from New York, Mr. and Mrs. Blandings. Good. What place is you going to show them, Pop? Oh,
go 3 or 4, son. And then I'll show 'em the Hackett place.
Oh, no. Not the old Hackett place.
The old Hackett place. Son, you ain't been learning much about the real estate business.
But Pop, the Hackett place, it's falling apart. It leans.
Mighty quaint old place, son. Just the thing for the Blandings.
And we bought it, Bill. It's ours. Well, some steal, huh?
Steal is an understatement. Swindle might be a little more appropriate. Huh? You've been taken to the cleaners, my friend, and you don't even know your pants are off.
Oh, darling, I told you. I said we ought to consult Bill before we buy it.
Well, what's so wrong with this deal?
$10,000 for 50 acres?
And only $1,500 for the house.
That's $200 an acre. $100 an acre is standard top gouge price to city slickers. When the natives sell it to each other, it's around 40 or less.
40? Jim!
The man's entitled to a fair profit.
Not 284%. Now, we're going to write this fella Hackett and tell him he can...
We'll do no such thing. You just don't understand business.
You mean extortion?
Jim, dear, now, maybe Bill's right.
No, just a minute. Let me explain something to both of you. For 15 years, I've been cooped up in this 4-room cracker box. Just getting shaved here entitles a man to the Purple Heart.
Well, that still doesn't make this Hackett place a good buy.
Now, look, Bill. Muriel and I have found what I'm not ashamed to call our dream house. Why, it's like a fine painting. You buy it with your heart, not with your head. You don't ask how much was the paint, how much was the canvas. You look at it and you say, it's beautiful. I want it. And if it costs a few more pennies, you pay it and gladly because you love it. And you don't measure the things you love in dollars and cents. Well, anyway, that's the way I feel about it.
Well, it's your money, I suppose.
No. And when I sign those papers on Saturday, I can look the world in the face and say it's mine. My house. My home. My acres.
Our house, darling. Our home. Our acres. It's a windy day, isn't it? Well, this is it, Bill.
The dream house on Nightmare Alley.
And no remarks. The house just needs someone to love it, that's all.
It's a good thing there are two of you, one to love the house and one to hold it up.
Jim, look. There's something blowing off the roof.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it looks like shingles.
Well, what did your engineer say when he checked that roof?
Our engineer?
Who needs engineers? This isn't a train, you know.
Say, that house is moving. I just saw it move.
This house has been standing since the second year of the Continental Congress. You take one look at it and shingles start to drop.
Now, look, do me one favor, will you? I've got a client. He's a crackerjack structural engineer, Joe Apollonio.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Well, I'll be right back, Muriel. Just want to measure that fireplace again.
Not that it's any of my business, Muriel, but how are you and Jim paying for this place?
Well, we're cashing in our government bonds, and Mr. Hackett's taking a $6,000 mortgage.
Well, it could be worse. And as long as you and Jim love it so much...
Help!
Jim! What's the matter? Where are you?
I fell through the floor.
Bill, I think you'd better get in touch with Mr. Apollonio.
Muriel!
So that's why we've come to you, Mr. Sims. After Mr. Apollonio saw the house, we got our own expert, Mr. Murphy, and then Mr. Gillis, but they all said the same thing.
Yeah, tear it down.
Well, as an architect, I'm inclined to agree with them. Of course, you can remodel, but for what it would cost you, why, you can have a fine new house.
A new house, huh?
Yes, something like this, for instance. Now, in this sketch
No.
here...
No. I don't think we're at all ready to commit ourselves.
Oh, no. But if we were to consider building, I can tell you there's one thing we'd have to have, Mr. Sims. Plenty of closets.
Well,
yes,
if I might make a
And
suggestion...
bathrooms. Each bedroom must have at least one bathroom. You see, Mr. Sims, our problem is...
I made a drawing of exactly what I mean, Mr. Sims. A little playroom for the basement, you see. Nothing tremendous, just a little something to...
And I've always wanted a sewing room, Mr. Sims. A little utility room upstairs where I could be alone and sew or sulk on a rainy afternoon.
Yes, but I think I'd better
And
point
here
out...
off the kitchen, a little flower sink with a stone floor and shelves for vases and gardening things. And maybe a little closet.
Sure. Why not? Now, over here...
My dear Mr. Blandings, now, in the first place, you've got the upstairs about 3 times as big as the downstairs.
There, you see, Muriel? It's all those bathrooms.
Nonsense. It's all those closets.
And by extending the breakfast room, you've eliminated the possibility of any stairs going up to the second floor.
What? No stairs? Oh.
Now, is it absolutely necessary for each of your daughters to have her own room with 2 closets and a private bath?
Yes. You see, our daughters are approaching womanhood.
Well, I didn't realize they were approaching it quite so fast. Now, what about that silly flower sink or that sewing room? That
I
could go.
beg your pardon.
What we need is a major savings. Now, a simple bathroom, Mrs. Blandings, costs about $1,300. Now, if you could do with just one less...
No, I refuse to endanger the health of my children in a house with less than 4 bathrooms.
For $1,300, they can live in a house with only 3 bathrooms and rough it.
Look, suppose I go ahead with some preliminary plans, and then we can get together in about a week's time.
Yes, you do that, Mr. Sims. But just don't forget, we've got to hold it down under $10,000.
That, I can tell you right now, is impossible.
Oh, well, I guess we're not going to quibble about a few pennies one way or another.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Blandings, have you anything in mind as to how you'd like the old place taken down?
Yeah. Why don't we just go out there and blow on it? Come on in, Bill. Just in time. Muriel and I are going over the plans.
In here, Bill, in the dining room.
Aye. Well, so you've torn down the old house, huh?
The most practical thing we ever did.
Uh-huh. How much did that cost?
Well, $1,400.
Now, never mind, Bill. I bet we've got the nicest vacant lot in the state of Connecticut.
Well, Muriel, he's done it again.
Who's done? Well, what's eating you? What did I do?
Now, just once, why don't you come to me and find out if it's all right, if it's legal, before you run yourself smack into another jam?
Oh, Jim, what's happened? What's Bill talking about?
I don't know. He won't tell me.
All you did was tear down a house in which another man happens to own a mortgage without first getting his written permission.
Well, what's that got to do? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in such cases, the mortgagee can demand full payment of said mortgage.
Oh, Jim.
And Mr. Hackett so demands 6,000 clams.
Oh, my. $6,000. Well, I guess I can turn in my insurance policies or something.
Oh, no, Jim. No, you can't do that.
Well, why not?
Well, if anything should happen, the children would be left unprotected.
I'm not dead yet.
No, of course you're not.
Well, I'll see the boys at the bank. You can put up your insurance as collateral. If necessary, I'll sign a personal note.
Thanks, Bill.
Sure. Well, I've got to run along. Good night, Muriel.
Good night, Bill.
I'll let you know what the bank says, Squire.
What a wonderful friend.
What's with all this kissing all of a sudden? He comes in, you kiss him. He goes out, you kiss him.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, just because a man is helpful in the business way doesn't give him extracurricular privileges with my wife.
That's a fine thing to say about a friend of 15 years.
Well, if he were 15, I wouldn't mind. He's 41. Every time he shakes my hand, he kisses you.
Would you prefer it the other way round?
Why is he always hanging around? Why doesn't he go out and get married or something?
Because he can't find another girl as pretty and sweet and wholesome as I am. Oh, darling, let's not be silly about this. It isn't Bill that's upsetting you. It's the house.
Yeah, I suppose so. Now, Muriel, do you think it's worth all this?
Of course it is. It isn't a house we're building, Jim. It's a home for ourselves and our children and maybe our children's children.
Yeah. Each with 2 closets and a private bath.
In a moment, we'll bring you Act 2 of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. Here's our Hollywood reporter, Libby Collins. Libby, I see Darrell F. Zanuck has made another outstanding picture for 20th Century Fox.
You mean Pinky, of course, Mr. Keeley.
Uh-huh.
I don't know when I've seen anything that touched me so deeply. It's an honest portrayal of an American problem. The story of a light-skinned Negro girl who gives up personal happiness in order to aid her own people.
Certainly a compelling drama. Jean Crane, as Pinky, has a difficult assignment, and she handles it with great skill.
You know, the whole cast seems so exactly right. Ethel Barrymore is superb as the southern lady of the manor. And William Lundigan plays the northern doctor with the authority the part demands.
I'm glad to see Jean Crane step into a really mature role and do it proud.
A remarkable young star, isn't she? And what fresh, delicate beauty she has.
You might call her the Lux Lovely type, Libby.
Oh, now, John. But you're right, because Jean is certainly devoted to her Lux Soap beauty care. And my, she's pleased with that big new bath cake. It's so luxurious, she says.
That's just the word for it, Libby. A generous satin smooth cake with a flower-like fragrance. No wonder screen stars tell us that now their Lux Soap beauty bath is more delightful than ever.
That big, longer-lasting bath cake makes a fine item to put on a family shopping list. And you can be sure the man of the house will like it, too.
I just know he will. Men go for a bath soap they don't have to coax into a lather. Even in hard water, you get lots of rich, creamy lather with Lux toilet soap. It's perfect for shower or tub. So why not let the whole family enjoy this luxury bath cake? The new bath-size Lux toilet soap. Now, our producer, Mr. William Keeley.
Act 2 of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, starring Irene Dunne as Muriel and Cary Grant as Jim. Well, it's a few days later, and in the office of Mr. Sims, the architect, Jim and Muriel Blandings hear the latest report on their dream house. To wit, an estimate.
$18,000?
That's ridiculous, Mr. Sims.
Well, frankly, with all those extras you've insisted
But we've
upon...
only asked for the barest necessities.
Never mind, dear. It no longer matters. Now, if you'll just send us a bill for your services...
But, Mr. Blandings, now, in the first place...
In the first place, I'm going out to have my head examined. And then I'm going to find the owner of our apartment house and sign a 20-year lease. Goodbye.
Well, if you feel that strongly about
I'm afraid we do, Mr. Sims. I'm sorry if we've... Jim, look.
Oh, there. Yeah. Yes, I took the liberty of making a sort of a finished sketch of the house in watercolor.
It even has our name on it. Residence of Mr. and Mrs. James Blandings, Shrunk Mills, Connecticut.
Ah, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Residence of Mr. and Mrs. James. Mr. Sims, do you really think you could keep it to $18,000?
Well, now, well. Let's pull up some chairs, shall we?
Well, how's it look, Bill? That's some excavation, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's going on over there?
Oh, that's Mr. Tisander. He's digging our well. Been here since Monday at $4.50 a foot.
Yeah, I think I better have a little talk with Mr. Tisander. Good morning.
Yep.
How's it coming?
Oh, it's coming.
How far down are you?
Oh, about 150 feet.
Well, isn't that pretty deep?
Yep.
Well, haven't you hit anything at all yet?
Hit some limestone yesterday.
That's good?
That's bad.
Oh.
And right now, looks like we're coming into some shale.
That's bad?
That's good. Of course, it might turn out to be sandstone.
That's bad?
Can't tell. Might be good, might be bad.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Just for the record, Mr. Tisander, what's happened to the water?
Oh, it's there all right. Just got to be patient.
And the art department promises the layouts no later than Monday, Mr. Blandings.
Okay, Mary, please type up that copy.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, Bill, but I've got to work once in a while, you know.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, that's why I'm here. You see, I happen to be closeted with your boss about a little legal work, and he just happened to mention that you haven't come up with one good slogan for Wham Ham.
Well, what's he worrying about? The deadline's months away. Besides, you don't... Oh, just a minute. Hello? Yeah? Okay, put her on. Muriel, Bill. She's up in Connecticut. Yes, Muriel? What? Tisander struck water. Mm-hmm. Say, that's wonderful, dear. Hey, Bill, we got our well.
Congratulations.
What's that, Muriel? What do you mean we got two wells? Oh. Well, I'll be right out. Say, how could we have two wells?
I can't wait to find out. Let's go. And so it all happened when Mr. Zuko was excavating, huh?
That's what Mr. Wretch says.
That's right, folks. Why, Zuko almost drowned.
So we've hit a spring of clear, cold, bubbling mountain water right here in our cellar.
And I can't pour a bag of cement until the water's diverted.
Well, hello, Mr. Tazander.
Oh, howdy.
You see, Mr. Tazander, water.
Yep.
At 6 feet.
Yep.
And just over there, you had to go down 227 feet to hit the same water.
Yep.
Now, how do you account for that, Mr. Tazander?
Well, the way it appears to me, Mr. Blandings, over here the water's down only 6 feet. But over there, it's down around 227 feet.
Yep. You got nothing to worry about, Mr. Blandings. Once we get the pumps here, your house will go up in no time.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, what's happened to that steam shovel? Huh?
Oh, well, is something wrong, Mr. Zuko?
Oh, no. I just broke my bucket, that's all.
Oh, you hit a boulder, huh?
That's no boulder, that's a ledge.
You know something, Mother? I'll never forget this moment. My family about to cross the threshold of our first real home.
I'm sure glad we got kicked out of that apartment. Hey, I don't hear any workmen.
Oh, it's Saturday afternoon. Only the painters are working.
Well, aren't we going in?
No, don't be in such a hurry. You know, dear, Betsy's right. It is a big moment. And I'm going to carry you across the threshold.
Oh, Jim, how sweet.
Watch that sacroiliac, Pop. It's been 15 years since you've tried anything like that.
Oh, that's all you know about it.
No, not in here.
Jim,
Huh?
You better put me down.
Can't you read us something? The sign says wet paint.
I haven't touched anything.
Your feet are touching something, ain't they? The floor.
Oh.
I just got through varnishing the floor.
Well, put some planks down or something. How do you expect us to live here if you don't...
Okay, Mac, okay. Take it easy. The Republicans ain't in yet, you know.
Well, wait till I see Sims about this.
Hey, Daddy, come and see what we just found. The windows. We don't have any windows.
Well, we'll see Sims about that, too. What time did he say he'd be here,
Well,
Muriel?
I think maybe he's here now, darling. He and Mr. Wretch, I think they're out in the back.
Just the man I want to see, Mr. Blandings. Got a few bills here. I'd like...
What about our windows, Mr. Wretch?
Well, I think I can answer that, Mr. Blandings. There's been a little slip-up.
Oh, the windows were delivered, all right.
Only they weren't the right windows. Those windows belong to a Mr. Landings in Fishkill. I just phoned him.
You mean he's got our windows?
Well, no, Mrs. Blandings. It seems Mr. Landings has some windows that belong to a Mr. Blandsworth in Peekskill.
Well, where are our windows?
Well, as near as we can find out, they've either been sent to a Mr. Banning in Stamford or to a Mr. Ginsburg in Waterbury.
Well, how did Ginsburg get into this?
Well, what are we supposed to do, gentlemen? Spend the rest of our lives in a house without windows?
Just a matter of a few days, Mrs. Blandings. Now, about that rub-dub water soft NR.
The what?
Rub-dub water soft NR.
Well, now, how would I know about that?
Oh, because you've got one, Mrs. Blandings. Furnished and installed for $285.
Well, I didn't order it.
I'm afraid I did, Mrs. Blandings. You see, to save your water pipes. The plumber assured me that the water in your well is the most corrosive in his entire experience in the trade.
Another first. Well, send me the bill.
You've got it. I left it on the kitchen sink.
Well, all right then.
Oh, Padelford's coming this afternoon.
Who authorized a Padelford? Now, first I get a rub-dub and now a Padelford.
He's the painting contractor. Mr. Padelford, I wanted to see him.
Oh, well, okay. Well, just get him over here. Padelford.
Now, first of all, the living room here. I want it to be a soft green, Mr. Padelford.
Uh-huh.
Not a blue green like a robin's egg.
No.
And yet not as yellow as daffodil buds.
Uh-huh.
Now, the only sample I could get's a little too yellow. But don't let whoever does it go to the other extreme get it too blue.
No.
It should be just a sort of a grayish yellow green.
Uh-huh.
Now, the dining room, I'd like yellow. not just yellow, but very gay yellow. Something bright and sunshiny.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what you do, Mr. Padelford. You just ask that man who's varnishing the floors in there to go down to the grocer and get a pound of their very best butter. And you just match that butter exactly, and you can't go wrong. Now, here's the wallpaper we're going to use in the hall. It's flowered. But I don't want the ceiling to match any of the colors of the flower.
No.
No. There's some little dots in the background. See? It's those little dots I want you to match. No, I don't want those greenish dots near the hollyhock leaves.
No.
No, I want those little bluish dots there between the rosebud and the delphinium blossom. Clear?
Uh-huh.
Now, the kitchen's to be white, but not a cold antiseptic hospital white, you know.
No.
I want something warmer, Mr. Padelford, but still not to suggest any other color but white. Now, for the powder room, I brought you a piece of thread, and I want you to match it exactly, and don't lose it. I had an awful time finding it. Now, as you see, the color of the thread is like an apple red. It's somewhere between a healthy wine sap and an unripened Jonathan. Dear. You'll have to excuse me now. I've got to meet a friend of ours at the station.
Hey, Charlie.
It's okay, boss. I've been listening.
Did you get everything?
Sure. Red, green, blue, yellow, and white.
Check.
Where's Mother, Daddy? I can't find her.
Huh? Oh, she drove Bill Cole down to the station. She'll be back soon.
Oh.
Well, go unpack another barrel. Help Gussie or something.
I just finished a barrel. And look what I found, Daddy. Uncle Bill's fraternity pin and Mother's diary while she was in college. It's slightly torn.
Oh, now that's none of your business. Now, just put that diary down and unpack something else.
I'd say Mother and Uncle Bill were somewhat of an item.
People do not read other people's diaries. It's not a very nice thing to do. Oh. Dear Diary. Tonight, Bill and I drove out to Stover's Point. As we sat there in the moonlight, he started... Holy smoke!
Well, the girls are asleep, Jim. There's no need to be so irritable, dear.
Well, sometimes a man just doesn't feel like talking.
Oh, something wrong at the office?
No.
Got the new slogan for Wham?
It's not due yet.
Well, you're certainly upset about something.
But it's just that I don't happen to approve of falsehood and deception.
What are you talking about?
Oh, nothing. But I distinctly remember your telling me that you returned Bill Cole's fraternity pin 15 years ago.
That I... What?
Well, did you or didn't you?
Well, did I or didn't I what?
Give it back to him.
Well, of course I did. If I said I did, I did.
Ah, well, then perhaps you'll have the goodness to explain how this happened to fall out of your jewel box.
His fraternity pin. Bills.
Now, what's so funny?
You're jealous.
If you were so crazy about the guy, why didn't you marry him?
Because I wasn't in love with him.
Well, that's not what you said in your diary.
My what?
Well, it just happened to fall open, and I happened to look at it. It just happened.
Yeah, I'll just bet.
Well, it's all over the book. You were in love with Bill Cole.
Oh, don't be absurd. Of course I was in love with Bill. In those days, I was in love with a new man every week.
Then why did you marry me?
I'm beginning to wonder. It is those big cow eyes of yours. That ridiculous hole in your chin. Maybe I knew you were going to bring me out to this $38,000 icebox with no windows. Or maybe I just happened to fall in love with you, but for heaven's sake, don't ask me why.
Muriel.
What is it?
What are you doing down there on the floor?
Trying to sleep. The moving men forgot our bed.
Oh.
What time is it?
12:30.
Thank you.
I guess I fell asleep downstairs. Muriel, would it do any good to say I'm sorry?
I don't know.
Well, I am. I behaved like a schoolboy, and I'm sorry.
Jim. Oh, Jim. If you hadn't kissed me tonight, I guess I just would have died.
Why do I love you so much?
Darling, it's awfully late. Maybe you ought to go downstairs and lock the doors.
Now, what for? The windows are all open anyway.
You've got to get up at 5 o'clock, you know.
5 o'clock? But why?
I forgot to tell you, dear. The railroad just put in a new schedule.
Oh. Well, that means I'll be at the office before 8.
Yes, but if you get there earlier, maybe you can leave earlier.
To get home earlier, to go to bed earlier, to get up earlier. Sure.
Jim.
Yes, dear?
Good night, dear.
Good night, dear.
We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
In a few moments, we'll return with the third act of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. We always like to tell a success story, and tonight's heroine is Miss Marilyn Mercer, formerly a messenger girl at RKO, and now a full-fledged starlet at the same studio. How did it all happen, Marilyn?
Well, I was answering telephones in the commissary when my big chance came for a screen test, Mr. Keeley, and that was just the beginning. Whenever I watch a picture being filmed, I realize how much I have to learn.
You had a chance to see some fine acting in RKO's new production, I Married a Communist.
Yes, indeed. There's a tense drama for you, particularly Robert Ryan in the role of a former communist who discovers that he can't escape from the party. He makes you feel the terror of their relentless pursuit, as only a fine actor can.
Yes, and Lorraine Day brings warmth and understanding to the part of the bewildered wife in I Married a Communist. A most appealing actress.
Isn't she, though? She's a favorite with everyone, and so lovely to look at. As you might expect, Mr. Kennedy, she's a Lux girl and a very enthusiastic one.
Another famous star who finds that Lux soap care really works, eh?
Well, now that Lux toilet soap comes in the convenient bath size, she thinks it's more wonderful than ever. And so do I, Mr. Kennedy. The lather's so rich and creamy, and I love the nice perfume it leaves on my skin.
That Lux soap perfume is an exclusive blend of many costly ingredients. It's like a bouquet of flowers, you know. A light, delicate fragrance that appeals to fastidious women.
For a quick beauty pickup, I count on my Lux soap bath. It's so refreshing.
Thank you, Miss Marilyn Mercer. And now, a suggestion for our listeners everywhere. Try this fine new product of Lever Brothers Company. The new bath-size Lux toilet soap. Remember, it's the fragrant white cake 9 out of 10 screen stars recommend for top-to-toe loveliness. Here's our producer, Mr. Keeley.
The curtain rises on the third act of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, starring Cary Grant as Jim and Irene Dunne as Muriel. Well, Mr. Blandings has built his dream house. And as the bills and the extras stare him in the face, so does the deadline for a new slogan for Wham Ham. It's now 9 o'clock on a very wet night. Jim's at the office, up to his elbows in slogans.
Is there anything I can type up for you, Mr. Blandings?
I can't think of a thing, Mary, except probably my resignation. Well, it sure is raining, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's funny, Mary, how you look forward to little things. Rain, for instance. For a month now, I've been looking forward to the first rainy night in my new house. Big blazing fire. Muriel pouring coffee. Me in my new smoking jacket with my pipe and slippers reading a good book. Ah, well.
Poor Mrs. Blandings. Must get pretty lonesome out there. At night, I mean. And a rainstorm.
She's probably worried to death about me. Oh, well. Give me some more paper, Mary. Wham.
And then out you went and bobbed your hair. Let's see now. That must have been about a month before you married him. And was Jim mad?
Oh, wants more coffee, Bill?
Thanks. Well, I picked a fine night to come calling, didn't I? Rainstorm, Jim in New York.
Yes, he's probably worried to death about me.
I wonder if my coat's dry by now. I'd look a little silly going back in Jim's new smoking jacket.
No, I think you look very cute. Oh, thank heavens. Must be the children.
Oh, sit still. I'll get it. Coming. Well, it's about time you kid... Oh, you're not the kid.
Yeah, I'm Harry Selby from down the road. Boy, what a storm. Just come by to tell you that the kids are safe, Mr. Blandings.
Oh, I'm not Mr. Blandings.
I'm Mrs. Blandings, Mr. Selby.
Oh, well, how do you do? Mrs. Williams just called my wife to say your telephone's out of order.
Oh, no.
And they just roped off the bridge at Shrunk Mills.
But my children.
Oh, don't you worry about them, Mrs. Blandings. They're spending the night with the Williams.
Oh, well, that's a relief. I was just beginning to get quite worried about
Well,
them.
I better get back before I have to swim for them. Good night, Mrs. Blandings.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Selby.
Oh, not at all. Good night, Mr. Blandings.
Cole, Bill Cole, friend of the family, just came in out of the rain.
Oh, well, good night.
No bridge. How do I get back to civilization?
Well, you'll just have to stay here until it stops raining or they fix the bridge or something.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to. Well, get out the cards, Muriel. We can always play gin.
Well, how about this one, Mary? Compare the price, compare the slice, take our advice, buy wham.
Oh, now really, Mr. Blandings.
Yeah, I know. No good at it. All right. Now, here's another. If you'd buy better ham, you'd better buy wham.
But it's just like boiled petroleum. If you'd buy better oil, you'd better buy boil.
Oh. Well, it's no use. I can't think anymore. All I've got on my mind is a house with an $18,000 mortgage and bills and extras and antiques and... I don't know. I just don't know.
You going somewhere?
Yes, I'm going home. I'm going home to get some sleep.
But the slogan, you haven't even
Well,
gotten
suppose I haven't. This isn't the only job in town.
But what do you tell Mr. Dascom?
Oh, I'll tell Mr. Dascom to... Well, I don't know. I'll just tell him.
Mr. Sims, well, good morning. Come in.
I know it's a little early to be calling, Mrs. Blandings. I just thought I might catch your husband before he left for the office.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Jim isn't here. But come on in anyway. We're going to have breakfast in a little while.
No, I've already had my... Oh, well, there's Mr. Blandings now getting out of that taxi.
Oh, he must be exhausted. He worked all night in the office.
You don't say.
Jim,
Good morning, dear.
how'd it go, darling?
Oh, fine. Oh, hello, Sim.
Mr. Blandings?
Everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine. Well, Sims, what are you doing out here with a morning dew?
Well, some extra bills have come in from Wretch, and I don't quite understand them.
Really? What are they?
Oh, a few of the things are all right, I guess. Now, here's an item. Mortising 5 butts at $1.98.
Oh, well, let's not quibble about it. A man's entitled to mortise a few butts now and then, I suppose.
Oh, and this one here, extra hardware, $9.18.
Petty larceny, but let him get away with it.
Now, here's one that, frankly, I don't understand at all. Changes in the closet, $1,247.
Well, we probably talked... 1,200 and what?
$47.
Oh, that's the end. What closet? What changes?
Well, that's just it. It isn't a closet at all. It's Mrs. Blandings' little flower sink. You didn't authorize any changes, did you, Mrs. Blandings?
Well, they certainly weren't changes.
Muriel, what have you done?
I haven't done anything. All I did was, oh, my goodness, nothing at all.
What have you done?
Well, all I did was, one day I saw 4 pieces of flagstone left over from the porch that were just going to be thrown away. Nobody wanted them. And I asked Mr. Wretch if he wouldn't just put them down on the floor of the flower room and poke a little cement in between the cracks and give me a nice stone floor where it might get wet from flowers and things. And that's absolutely all I did.
Mm-hmm. That's all you did?
Absolutely. Just 4 little pieces of flagstone.
Did you by any chance authorize a drain?
Of course I didn't. All I said was I wanted a nice, dry stone floor, and Mr. Wretch was just as nice as he could be.
What did Mr. Wretch say?
Well, all he said was, well, you're the doctor, Mrs. Blandings. And that was all anybody said to anybody about anything.
Oh, well.
I think I can tell you just about what happened. You see, those planks run under the entire width of the pantry, so that Wretch had to knock out the bottom of the pantry wall to get at them. Then he had to chop off the top of the joists under the flour sink to make room for the cradle.
But all I said was...
And then with the added load on the weakened joists, I'll bet he had to put a lally column down there for support.
Oh, I'll bet.
But it was just 4 little pieces of flagstone, and I only asked him...
Now, the soil pipe runs under there on wall brackets, so that Wretch had to get the plumber back. Oh, good morning, Mr. Cole.
Morning. Good morning, Muriel, dear. Morning, Jim.
And,
hello,
of course,
Bill.
there are hot and cold water
When
pipes
did you
from the
get
joists
here?
right under-
Well, as a matter of fact, last night I stayed over.
Oh, you stayed over. He stayed over.
The bridge was roped off. He had to stay.
I slept like a rock, too.
Now, just a minute
Morning,
here. Just...
everybody. Wow, what a night. I've never seen so much rain in all my natural life.
You mean you weren't here last night, Gussie?
No, dear. Gussie spent the night in Lansdale.
I passed the girls over by the Williams house, Miss Blanding. They ought to be home any minute now.
Thank you, Gussie. Now, you better start breakfast.
Yes, ma'am, right away.
All right. Now, where were we?
Why, with the electrician ripping out 60 feet of armored cable. Right, Mr. Sims?
What? Oh, yes.
Muriel, you mean the children weren't here last night either?
How could they be, dear? The bridge was closed.
I just came across it.
It was closed last night.
It's open now.
Well, if you'll all excuse me, I think I'll glance through the morning paper.
Well, I guess that's about the size of it, Mr. Blandings, except that Wretch also had to repair the pantry wall, and he couldn't possibly have broken through the wall without...
all right, Sims, all right. We'll take care of it.
I'll admit it's a little steep. I'll try to get Wretch to knock off $100. If I can't get that, I'll get 75. Well, 50 maybe. Anyway, I'm almost sure we can get 25. Well, good day.
Good day.
Darling, you're upset. Got a lot of things on your mind.
Muriel, there's only one thing I've got on my mind. This house, and how soon we can get rid of it.
No, that's not what you're thinking.
Maybe not. Maybe I was thinking I was once a happy man. I didn't have a closet. I didn't even have 3 bathrooms. But I did have my sanity, a few $1,000s in the bank, 2 children who loved me, and a wife I could trust.
Oh, that's a fine thing to say.
I also had a job at the Dascombe Advertising Agency, something I don't happen to have at the moment.
Jim!
That's right. I'm going to resign. We're starting all over again, from scratch. And without this house.
You love this house.
I hate this house. From its mortise butts to its rubbed-up water softener.
You know you don't mean that.
Every word of it. Anybody who builds a house today is crazy. The minute you start, they put you on the list, the all-American sucker list. You start out to build a home and you wind up the poorhouse. And if it can happen to me, what about the fellows who aren't making $15,000 a year? What about the kids who just got married and want... Now somebody's looking in the window.
It's Mr. Tazander.
All right, Mr. Tazander, what do you want?
Well, at least we can open the door. Hello, Mr. Tazander.
Morning.
Well?
Mr. Blandings, there's a matter of $12.36.
No. $12.36.
Yep.
Well, why be a piker, Mr. Tazander? Here, take everything I've got. I'll empty my pockets for you. Take it all. Spread it out amongst your pals. Maybe Wretch would like a little something. Maybe Zucker could use my new smoking jacket. It's open house, Mr. Tazander. Help yourself.
Now, Mr. Blandings, hold on. It's $12.36. You don't owe me. I owe you.
What was that?
Yep. Seems that I overcharged you almost 3 feet. Here it is, Miss Blandings. I think it's all there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tazander.
Well, I guess I'd best be going. My, you sure got a pretty place here. I'll take good care of it. Oh, and I'll tell Mr. Zucker about that smoking jacket.
Darling, what did you mean? We really going to have to sell the house?
Oh, I don't know, Muriel. I just don't know anything anymore.
In case anyone's interested, I'm leaving for town. Oh, Jim, if you want to count the silverware, I'll wait.
Be patient with me, Bill. Maybe one of these days I'll grow up.
Hey, what's happened to him?
$12.36.
Now, do you mind if I say something? You know, ever since this thing started, I've been firmly convinced that you were getting fleeced, bilked, rooked, flim-flammed, and generally taken to the cleaners.
I know.
Maybe it has cost you a lot more than you thought it would. But when I look around at what you two have got here, well, I don't know. Maybe there are some things you should buy with your heart and not with your head. Maybe those are the things that really count. Well, see you around. Bye, dear.
Bye, Bill.
Hi, Uncle Bill. You should have seen the flood last night. The bridge was roped off, Uncle Bill. We had to stay with the neighbors.
Yeah, I heard all about it. I'll bet you had a wonderful time.
Well, good morning, children.
Morning,
Morning.
Daddy. But why aren't you at the office?
Well, I'm on kind of a vacation, Joan.
You mean you got fired?
Well, not exactly.
Now, come on, we'll discuss this later. Right now, we're going to have breakfast.
Am I starving? What are we having, Gussie?
Orange juice, scrambled eggs, and you know what?
Ham, Gussie?
Not ham, wham. If you ain't eating wham, you ain't eating ham. Now, you kids go and wash your hands.
Muriel, did you hear what she said?
What are you talking about?
Gussie, if you ain't eating wham, you ain't eating ham. My slogan. I've got my slogan.
Jim, where are you going?
Go to the telephone desk and tell Gussie she just got a $10 raise.
And so Jim Blandings got his slogan, and he kept his job, and he kept his dream house. If this story has a moral, I'm afraid it's escaped me. Unless it's to always be sure to hire a maid like Gussie.
Oh, there's much more of a moral than that, Bill.
Yes, Mrs. Blandings?
I think it's to own your own home, no matter what. Oh, and ladies, you'll find a flower thing very handy. Now, all you have to do is...
Muriel.
Yes, dear?
Don't you dare.
The curtain has fallen, but our stars are coming back, and here they are. Irene Dunne and Cary Grant.
Thank you, Bill. It's nice to be here.
And, of course, we're delighted to have a famous team like Cary Grant and Irene Dunne reunited.
Irene, he means we're like corned beef and cabbage. Or ham and eggs.
No, I think it's more like Laurel and Hardy.
Well, in that case, one of us will have to put on some more weight. That's all.
You two played Mr. and Mrs. Blandings with such conviction that I suspect you've had a similar experience. Am I right, Irene?
Well, we did put in a new movie projector at my house and had to knock out a wall, but it was worth all the trouble.
Well, how's that?
Well, now my daughter's convinced I'm important in pictures. I'm the only one who can run the projector.
I'm sure you do it just as beautifully as you run your home, Irene.
Well, of course, to run a home properly, you've got to have the new bath-size Lux soap on hand, and I always have that.
Say, Bill, what's that big contest I've been hearing about? Something about 15-year-old Lux girls.
It's a contest to pick the most beautiful Lux girl born in 1934, Cary. The year the Lux Radio Theater was born.
Go and me.
And next Monday, October 17th, the 15th anniversary of the Lux Radio Theater, the papers will have full details. That's when the 6 winners from each of the 163 local contests will be announced.
With pictures, I hope.
Yes, papers all over the country will carry the photographs of the 6 lucky girls in their CBS station area.
Well, who picks the prettiest Lux girl?
Everybody will have a chance to vote for their favorite among the 6 local winners. Then the girl getting the most votes represents her station in the big national contest.
Yeah, I'd like to vote, Bill, so I'll watch the papers next Monday.
You know, there's only one rule to remember. Send in your vote on a Lux toilet soap wrapper.
Well, I just might possibly be able to find one.
Oh, no, not just one, Irene. Vote as many times as you like. Hey, what will you have for the big anniversary show next Monday, Bill?
A romantic hit direct from the current screen. The 20th Century Fox picture, Mother is a Freshman. And we'll have the original stars of the film here to celebrate our anniversary. They're Loretta Young and Van Johnson. This is delightful entertainment for the whole family. The kind of play you've liked so much during the 15 years of the Lux Radio Theater. So I know everyone will want to join our audience next Monday night.
It's a grand picture, Bill, and Loretta is the loveliest freshman I ever saw. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, and thank you. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday evening when the Lux Radio Theater presents Loretta Young and Van Johnson in Mother is a Freshman. This is William Keeley saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Cary Grant is currently starred in the 20th Century Fox picture, I Was a Male War Bride. Heard in tonight's cast were Donald Randolph as Bill, Stephen Dunne as Sims, Ann Carter as Betsy, Ann Whitfield as Joan, and Herbert Butterfield, Charlotte Lawrence, Tim Graham, Lillian Randolph, Jack Petruzzi, Cliff Clark, Howard McNeill, Earl Lee, and Eddie Marr. Our play was adapted by S.H. Barnett, and our music was directed by Louis Silvers. Our Lux Radio Theater production of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House has come to you with the good wishes of the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, Hollywood's own beauty soap. Have you tried the big new bath-size Lux Toilet Soap? It's the same fine white soap you've always used, but in a generous, larger size, specially created to make a delightful, refreshing beauty bath. This is your announcer, John Milton Kennedy, reminding you to join us again next Monday night to hear Mother is a Freshman, starring Loretta Young and Van Johnson.
Spry is a new Spry, better than ever Spry. You'll be a better cook when you use Spry. Spry in your baking pan, Spry in your frying pan. You'll be a better cook when you use Spry.
Like crispy golden brown fried foods, fried with new Spry, they're better than ever, supremely tender and delicate. Why? New Spry is blender, plays up fresh, natural food flavors. And foods fried the Spry way are as digestible as if baked or boiled. For all you bake and fry, try new, better-than-ever Spry. Another fine product of Lever Brothers Company.
You'll be a better cook when you use Spry.
Be sure to listen next Monday night to the Lux Radio Theater presentation of Mother is a Freshman, starring Loretta Young and Van Johnson. Stay tuned for My Friend Irma, which follows over these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.